we go.
Yo. Oh yeah, we're gonna slow it down for you today. Feels so good, don't it? I said, yeah, we slowed it down today. Don't it feel good? Yeah.
Setting the mood.
We vibing out on them right now. Yeah.
Hey, decadent. Say it down, but you won't let me in. Give me you, all of you, don't pretend. Can't be looking back like what we could have been. If it's time, we gon' waste, let it in. Just a smile on your face, not the same.
Woo.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Bruising Banter Podcast, where the topic is the rocket and the brew. Well, that be the fuel. And I'm your host, Rob G. And with me, as always, the legendary Brew Crew. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
What is going on, everyone?
Hi.
I'm feeling good.
What's good? What's good? This is episode 91
Something.
of Bruising Banter
Sounds good to me.
Podcast.
We in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it says it right there, BBP 91.
Yeah,
There you go.
So we are live here today. Again, we have this is volume 24
22.
of our
22
of our social distancing series.
23. 23.
I was right. God,
You said
give me all my
24.
game.
Well, you
All right.
said you didn't. You
I
didn't
said
say
23. I said 24.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all right. We on
Okay.
23. That's good. Michael Jordan.
We understood.
Hey, 23.
Swish.
LeBron James.
Michael Jordan.
Why you didn't say
Either
Jordan?
or. Either one to work.
You should have said Jordan.
Both
but,
greats. Both greats.
Yeah.
What? I mean, number
Both
one.
are great. Both
Well,
are great.
we're in LeBron time now, so I guess that works.
Right, and when
Both
he's
are great.
done, he'll be number one in all the categories. So it makes sense. All right.
Yeah, he will. He
Let's do that here.
to go off on that tangent. He will
There
be.
you go.
He will be the.
Yeah,
he
just
will
let
be
him
the
just
first
stop right there.
athlete in the NBA that owns a chip from three teams.
Right, but he'll be
That's-
number one in points. He's already number one.
That's
in,
that's
in the
just one
playoffs.
thing. Yep.
He's doing it. I mean, shout out to
He's
LeBron.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Shout out to Michael Jordan.
Right.
Shout out to Michael Jordan too.
Shout out to Mike and his NASCAR and
Yeah.
Bubba Wallace and getting his thing on.
Is LeBron sneakers going to live as long as Jordan's?
Yes.
No,
I believe so.
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't
Yeah,
think so.
I believe
I
so.
think so.
I mean, mate,
I think it's gonna be a LeBron 30. There's definitely gonna be a LeBron 30-31.
Okay.
I think so.
Right. I
Gonna
think
happen.
He is the second greatest player ever.
yeah. All right. Tangent all the way off.
Yep.
Yeah, we always do that.
Hey, it's in the news. They in the finals. Finals is going down, so it's current news.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is episode 91, and it is about the election, and we have found ourselves
Hey,
a real life.
A real life.
from under a rock.
It says Boricua's CEO.
Boricua. Boricua
Yeah,
is how you say it?
that's what I said.
We won't give his real name.
See? Oh, it tells you something else. Learning something else about it. See?
Oh, sure, I'm sure people watching, they're like, "Oh, I know who that is."
Yeah.
Yeah, but we just want to have a conversation and see, because I mean, we always wanted to know. We always ask these questions to each other, like, well, why do people support Trump? So we wanted to find out. So we wanted to. So we wanted to.
Is that the leading question, or should it be more like his supporting in politics in general?
Let me
Because
tell you what the first
Trump is
question
not a
is.
politician.
Before
You
we
know,
even
he
get
hasn't
into
been
it,
around
I'm gonna give him
forever.
time to think about it. So I'm gonna say it now. What's the percentage of things that you believe that Trump says? We're gonna start there, and then we'll go on to the next. But you just hold on. You can think about it for a minute.
I have an intro question because to respect all of our guests, I would like to know what Boricua CEO actually means. Like, are you the chief executive officer of something?
Sure.
And welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Oh yeah, and let's start this off, Steve. Before we get any further, just to let y'all, the listeners know, Steve is my boy.
Okay.
Right? We are cool.
Okay.
No
So-
doubt.
To an arm's
right,
length degree.
right now. It might be different after this.
Nah, it won't be different.
I'm just joking.
That's still my boy, regardless.
Yeah, no, the term or the name Boricua is it stands for Puerto Rican, for the indigenous Puerto Ricans of the island of Puerto Rico.
Yes, indeed.
So that's my moniker in terms of saying Boricua CEO. That's the handle that I use when I'm online. So that's what it is.
Gotcha.
So it just means I'm representing, and I'm
Representing.
So, ladies, any of y'all that was being stalked
Now-
by legal COE,
Now, Steve, are you first generation U.S. or are you second generation? Just give us some history and background in terms of your Hispanic heritage.
Sure. So I'm second generation. I'm actually a New Yorican, and for those that are Puerto Rican, they understand if you're not
Yes.
born in New York, you become a New Yorican. So that's my background.
Got
So
it.
very proud of my heritage and my lineage.
Yes.
In terms of how one looks at themselves, in terms of being Puerto Rican or Latin descent, or being in the Caribbean, our bloodline runs in many different directions. So when you look at someone of Latin descent, specifically in the Caribbean, let's say Dominicans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, there's many lines. So when you look at an individual, you can't really say, well, they're just Latin or they're brown skin, black, whatever. We have everything in our blood. So for me, from my perspective, I look at things from many different socio-economic perspectives. I grew up in the hood. I'm originally from New York. I grew up in the projects in Queens, and slowly but surely, I made myself who I am today because of my parents and because of the things that I learned from the streets and also from the things that I learned through education. So that's my perspective. And then I think Josh asked a question, what percentage do you believe in Donald Trump or any politician, not just Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Half of what you see and almost none of what you hear. You want to see what they're doing and how they're doing it in terms of the communities and what they're giving back to not just to one specific group, to everyone. And I know there's a big thing out there where they're going off using the rich people. And, to an extent, you can say yes, but the rich people drive the jobs. And unfortunately, if you don't own your own company, you gotta do what it says, and you work hard for your chips. So in terms of what I believe, I'm going to say 30% of what I see and what I hear out there is what I believe in with regards to Donald Trump or any politician.
Right.
All right. Well, before we get too far into the questions and stuff, you always need to know, what are we drinking today?
Sipping.
So now I don't know what I don't call you Weekend CEO. Steve, I'm confused now.
Call him Steve.
At Linden, whatever, something. It's someone gave me a 6-pack of this Harvest Patch Shady. I thought it would taste more pumpkin flavor, but it's actually pretty good. Smooth flavor, pretty good. So it's the Harvest Patch.
Okay. From Lennon Kugel, right?
Lennon Kugel.
Yeah. It's the one with all the.
He keeps up with a little bit on letters.
It's a little wine coolerish, but we're gonna let you have that. It's a little wine coolerish.
You can't say that about what he got if you because mine is really wine coolerish.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. People love Lennon Kugel's Summer Shandy.
I just said it's
good,
a little
man.
wine coolerish.
That's good.
You know, you be sipping on that thing. Dad, what are you drinking? You better be drinking something hard.
Yeah, right.
I am. Sorry. No, I'm drinking a Happy Hoppy IPA. Smile My Guy out of a Bronx brewery. And this is coming in at 5%, a little lower than my threshold of 6% and higher, but this is a light body citrus hops with happy vibes included. So shout out to Bronx Brewery for their IPA. Smile My Guy.
Why do you have to throw that in there? Well, happy vibes included.
Hey, that's what it says. It says light body citrus hops and happy vibes. That's what they put on that thing.
It ain't in the can though. It ain't happy.
Yeah, every can
you drink
it
it.
is made with happiness and love.
Yeah.
All right, Lou, what you drinking?
I went to the Black is Beautiful campaign.
Okay.
Black is Beautiful.
Nice.
This is Rocket Frog's offering, paired with goodies and swings. These are coffee roasters. So it's imperial stout mixed with vanilla and coffee, and it is 9% alcohol by volume, and the Black is Beautiful pint can. Yep,
Nice.
delicious, very good.
Awesome.
Nice hints of vanilla, and the coffee is definitely in there. Caffeine is available.
Okay.
That's another.
And yo, what you drinking?
So after yesterday, I decided to take it light today because I wasn't. Man, yesterday I wasn't feeling too great. But I'm gonna go ahead. See this right here, the 10 Barrels Crush cucumber sour. Yeah, this is a 5%er, so it is something light.
He doing a beer cleanse.
Yeah.
With the cucumber, yeah.
Cucumber.
Yeah, with the cucumber.
Good, man.
But this is delicious.
That's a good beer.
What is
is that a Gose?
It's a sour.
It's a sour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's
I
really
remember,
good. You remember when you first had it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you about to say? Yeah, I remember when I first had it too. I was with you.
Yeah, at the Delaware Beer Fest. Shout out to Dennis again with that one.
Yeah.
And that was that Goose Island, you said, right?
That's
10 barrels.
Huh?
10 barrels.
Oh, 10 barrels. I thought you said that was them girls. I'm like, them girls? What girls?
That was them girls at 10 Barrels.
Yeah, they was passing it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Goose Island was passing out the 10 barrels.
Rob, what you got?
I'm glad you asked, yo. I had two beers. I initially started with the Harpoon Dunkin' Jelly Donut IPA. Right here.
How's that taste?
That is keeping it in the cooler for myself.
Oh, really?
Oh, boy.
First only. It is, I think it probably because it has a lot of, well, it says right on the can, artificial flavors, and you can taste, it tastes like medicine.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Nobody want that Diamond Tap.
Especially not no
want
beer.
that Diamond Tap.
Nobody want no Robitussin. Nobody put no test on it.
And it's crazy because they said they had raspberry puree in there. But then they said
so that wasn't one of the artificial flavors?
Artificial colors added. So I'm like, you should just let it be what the color is going to be. You put raspberry puree, so if it's going to be red, let it be red, or whatever it is. Came out to be a golden color, but sorry, Harpoon, but that was a drink.
What kind of style was it supposed to be? What was the style supposed to be?
Good news for Harpoon. I did have also the Dunkin' Pumpkin.
Okay.
Because it's a variety pack in that. So this actually is pretty good. This is a pumpkin beer, but it is a decent, nice beer. It is. Did
they partner with any
5.2 ABV, 12-ounce can, and I got it in my 17% drip glass. So shout out to them as well. It's delicious. It has some pumpkin, definitely. Allspice on the or all season. What is it, allspice? All season? I forget what it's called.
Allspice, all seasoning.
But it has cinnamon, pumpkin, puree, coffee, and other natural flavors.
Now, did they partner with anybody for the on the coffee tip, or did they just they didn't list that on the can?
Isn't that Dunkin'?
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts.
We don't hear you like we did though. Yeah, talk now.
You can hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So this was a good beer. I'm not a big fan of the other natural flavors, but it smells like pumpkin, tastes a little pumpkin-y. So I'll say that this is a pass me another.
Pass it then.
Yeah, but that Jelly Donut IPA is a no-go for me.
I mean, we had a really I guess wide palette of choice. We had the beer cleanse. We had the what I call the other shandy. We got a little variety. The wine cooler. Then the jelly donut puree. I don't know. We just all over the place today.
I can't.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I mean, all right.
I feel like that jelly donut had more potential.
Yeah,
it was much more potential, and that should have been artificial flavors. You starting off bad.
Yeah, it's like you probably should left that out. Artificial flavor and color, so they put both of those in. So they probably should just said
that's at least 30%.
Yeah,
30% of the whole beer is artificial.
whatever that color was, whatever that natural taste. I mean, because raspberry puree, I'm sure it gave you a nice, decent enough flavor.
Right.
And I think it said donuts and puree, so you have some of that weedy. Or maybe they shouldn't have made it an IPA. Maybe it should have been.
Oh, that's what I was
beer.
asking. It was an IPA.
Yeah, so maybe they should have made it a wheat beer or something. I don't know. That way you get more that donut flavor. I don't know. Hey, but they tried it. They reached for it. They just missed.
Gotta shoot your shot.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are here, like I said. We do have a good selection of beers. We do, but we want to get into this topic. I'm sure some of the people watching may have some questions as well.
Yeah, they're gonna come. They're gonna come out of the cornfields.
Out of the cornfields.
Out of the cornfields.
They coming out of the cornfields. October, fall, cornfields, Halloween. We're coming out the cornfield.
Harvest. I see you, Dad.
Now, well, and I guess and just to jump right into it, I guess the quick question is always not even just why he's put. It don't have to be Trump, but in terms of any candidate, I think you gave a little synopsis about why in politics how you pick the candidates you support. But in this particular, I guess in presidential races, what are you looking for? Why do you say like I'm gonna choose this candidate over another?
I look at their history, their track record. The one thing that I liked about Trump is that he wasn't a politician. He's just a regular guy that was out there doing his thing, regardless of what you think about his accoutrements in business. Whether he really is a deal maker. He's proven that he's put something together and he's held it together. A lot of people that you see out there, you see a lot of companies like Enron where they come power and now they're gone. Companies like MBNA, they started off as a powerhouse and now they're gone. His legacy has lasted for quite some time, and that's what I wanted to see in our government this time around. When we had Barack Obama in there, he did his thing. He was new. He was an unproven commodity out there, and he demonstrated that he could do something, change the way that politics was viewed for American politics. And then comes along Donald Trump, where he had no business being a politician, and people wanted to see something different, and they did, and they're getting it. Is one president better than another? No, they're just different. They have different approaches to situations, just like in business. You have one manager that you love, and he does a lot of things, or she does a lot of things, and then he moves on, and then you bring the next person in, you're like, what the hell? How did they do this, and how did they get to where they're at? And with Trump, that's what I see. And in politics, I wanted to see something different. So if you're looking at the dichotomy between two, presidential components or two people competing against each other, you look at Joe, where he's been around for quite some time, 47 years in politics, and you have Trump, 47 months in politics, and who can serve the country better? It's hard to say. Are you looking to go back to the way we were doing things before, or do you want to continue down the path that we're seeing different aspects? And there's many aspects out there, and the biggest thing is race. Everybody talks about race. Trump is a racist, and he said this and he said that, and what it is are sound bites, of things that he may or may not have said, or things that he said and they take him out of context. They did it to Barack Obama.
I gotta stop you right there, bro. It's not even like you acting like Trump's been a racist for the last 4 years. Like, he's been a racist his whole professional career. Like, he's been sued off of racism, and civil rights cases have been levied against him because he's violated civil rights of his tenants and his employees. So it's not just the last 4 years and changing the government. Like, he doesn't have any experience in being a politician. Like, Joe Biden's not the best politician to have. He's not the best candidate that I would actually want. But the 47 years of experience is more experience than 47 months of divisiveness. Excuse me. Go ahead.
I can agree and disagree at the same time, because Joe Biden, using his words, any crime bill that had been passed along in the Senate during his tenure, he's probably put more brown people, not black, not Spanish, just anyone.
Trump hasn't had enough time.
Right.
And I agree. So when you're looking at those two pieces, Joe Biden has had way more opportunities to fix things than the way he did during his 47 years that he was as a politician. during his 8 years during the Obama administration, he really couldn't do anything without Obama saying yes or no. So I'm going to just subtract those 8 years out of his tenure, because he really had no decision making in there. All those decisions were made by Obama and his administration. So in terms of prior to Joe becoming vice president, he made so many racial epithets towards just about anyone, whether you're Latino, Black, Asian. He's always made comments like that, and everybody just shrugged it off like, "Oh, that's old Joe," but that's still not cool. So that's one piece of it. Now going back to
it ain't cool. You're right. It's not cool, but it may be old Joe, but that's Trump today, tomorrow, yesterday, the day before. So that's just how Trump is currently. And so it's like people may say old Joe, but keep in mind that people don't forget about stuff that Joe did. But it's when you're I don't think people forgot about it. I think it's kind of like the better or the worse. Like you can't,
and the evolution of people.
Yeah, then you can't debate on who's more racist. Like, come on, we can't do a debate about who's more racist. Like with our current, because we're in our current situation. And like what's happening now is like with our current situation that we're in currently. That's why we're looking more towards Trump right now. And that's the only reason, because he's our president currently, and with the things that are taking place and the things that he's done in the past. But we nobody's forgot about what Biden has done.
But go ahead. No, you got it. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I was just going to say in terms. I was just saying, I don't think anybody has forgotten what Joe's record, but I mean, there's he does have. I mean, if you read some of the, he has a plan to try to, I guess, kind of rectify some of those past mistakes. If you read some of his guidelines, and I think he probably learned a lot from the 8 years that you're subtracting.
Right.
I'm not saying it wasn't a lesson learned, but what I'm saying is in terms of his career as a politician, the only time that I'll take out is the 8 years that he was with Barack Obama, and the only reason why I say that is because again,
because he wasn't in charge.
Right. But you're still taking out that's 8 years. Your guy hasn't even had half of that time to mess, and he's been messing up the whole time. And he wasn't a politician, but he still was messing up. Like he's been messing up his whole life. Like, and he has a lot of money. Atlantic City is not the same. Atlantic City is bankrupt. Your man owned Atlantic City,
but that's not because of him. Atlantic City, it's a fallacy in a business model that they have for Atlantic City. Atlantic
he owns
City,
more than half of it. He owns more than half of that city.
No, it's just the one building, the Taj Mahal, and it's gone now.
No, that's not true. That's what's going on now. But when the shit started to hit the fan for Atlantic City, Donald Trump was the one that ran away from it. Donald Trump is the one that sold all the. I don't care.
You know what? That's a lot of people.
Like when in 2016, when I'm trying to pick who I'm going to vote for, I look at everybody's past, and you're not looking at his past dealings with the American people. You're looking at his political, and he doesn't have any political to fall back on. So you're like, I want something new. Well. Right. And you're like, oh, he's a millionaire. Like we all have the potential to be millionaires if we start out as millionaires. Like shit, give me a break with that.
But you got to keep it too.
Right.
Yeah.
But you also got to look
at
it in terms of
has he kept it?
Has Trump did any?
I'll give you an example.
All right. Okay.
Go ahead.
No.
He said he could give examples. Go ahead, give examples, Steve.
Examples. There are people that win the lottery on a regular basis. They win millions of dollars. And if you go back and you take a look and see what happened to those individuals that won those $1 million, see how many of those individuals
still have it. All that, right?
And there are quite a few. And I have examples of individuals. Personally, I have a relative that won $4 million in a lottery. Has he kept it? The majority, yes. But he did things with his investments because he had good people behind him. But if you don't have good people behind you, you're not going to keep those millions. And there's a lot of success stories, and there are many more tragic stories where people don't know how to manage their money. So again, when you're looking at a corporation, and again, I'm not defending him, but what I'm saying is in any organization that's a corporation, CEO doesn't make all the decisions at the ground level. So some of those issues that may happen where there's sexual harassment or there's racism at the lower levels of an organization, you're always going to blame the CEO. But at the end of the day, the CEO doesn't have that interaction with the people at the lowest levels all the time.
Right.
So you don't think so you don't think the way he governs now, where his hand is in every cookie jar, you don't think he ran his businesses like that?
Good question.
Good question. There's some CEOs that are in there that they're micromanagers and they watch their business from the bottom to the top. There's many like that. And on the flip side, Trump could be that type of individual. I don't know.
Could be.
Well, he runs the government like that.
Runs the government like that.
Don't do that.
And you're generalizing all these people, but we know Donald Trump. Like, you can see him. You should be doing your research on him. He's your president. You should know all of this stuff to make you vote for him. It shouldn't just be he's different. He's not a politician.
Every person he's fired. There's been more firings and in his party and in this presidential 4 years of in the White House in history. Right. In 48 months. In 48 months.
Right. And part of it's because of the fact that he can't get people approved because it has to go through certain processes and he can't get them approved. But
he had people in there. So let's decide of who he can't get approved. Let's start with the fact that he's firing people that are in positions. He's cutting down positions in departments that do exist simply because he doesn't want them in, and he wants to funnel in. It's like the you know how it is. If you know somebody high up in a corporation and they want to bring in all their people, they're going to be like, look, let's wish watch, let's get everybody out that ain't for me, that I know is not going to support me. Let's get them all out. Let's fire them all, and I'm going to bring in the good old boys, and we're going to run our entourage the way we run our entourage.
Deb said, you know how it is. You're a CEO.
I want people around me that I can trust.
And that's true in corporations. He's running the government like a corporation. That is true in corporations.
I'm okay with that.
But government is not a corporation, though. Government.
I have a question, Steve.
Government is not a business, and people always try to run it like a business. But I mean, I think George Bush tried the same thing. But it's not a business. It's a totally different organism that you don't really.
You cannot apply the same strategies, the same principles. And I ain't even got into moral fiber yet, Steve. We ain't got there yet.
Because even when you talk about conservatives, I don't know if you consider yourself a conservative. When you talk about conservative, they're only conservative when a Democrat is in the White House. When it's not, they be like, "Oh,
yeah, they spend
money
like crazy.
money bags,
get it." Yes, drop that.
Like, hey, look, I
got a question for you, Steve.
Hold on, he was talking.
Are you a Republican? Are you a Republican, or do you just vote for? Did you just vote for Trump?
Because that was one of my questions.
Or do you vote?
I've been a Republican for many years. I've been
okay.
So you did not vote for Barack?
I did not vote for Barack.
I was going to ask that question. So you didn't vote for Barack, and you said
it seemed like you kind of liked him a little bit.
You kind of liked him or something, because you said you vote by their track record. And Barack came in. He was unknown. He came in. Good history, good, did his thing, but you didn't vote for him.
The first time I voted for him, second time I did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then clarify, because you said you did not.
It seems to me you like the newness. I think, is this safe to say, Steve? You like the newness of politicians, like the fact that some new blood can come in and maybe shake some shit up and change it for the better for the country. That's what you go in believing. But
what he said,
exactly, because he voted for Barack. Barack was new, and then the second time he didn't like it. But what's the difference this time around? Like, what happened in these 4 years that made you decide that, hey, maybe I'm gonna vote for Trump again?
Well, he didn't say we didn't ask that question.
We ain't got that far yet.
I'm just assuming no. He don't, but I can still ask the question.
Yeah. Right. No. It's all good. So the first term, I voted because I wanted to see something fresh and new, and we got to see it. He was doing his thing. He had the House, and he also had the Senate. And what happened was he couldn't even turn those individuals to help him do the things that he wanted to do. And half of those individuals that were with him, they didn't vote against him. And a lot of people don't realize that Barack Obama, he came in under the first term. He had both sides. He had the Senate and the House. So he had both of them. Mm-hmm. They could not agree with what he was coming in with. And he was trying to change things. He was trying to make things happen. And his own political party let him down. And he lost half of them. That's when the Tea Parties came in and all that BS. And I'm not down with the Tea Party.
I agree with you on that.
They flipped the script on him, his own party. So
but the Tea Party wasn't his own party.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, the Tea Party was Republican, but what I'm saying, the people that were there, the Democrats that were in charge when he had taken over on his first.
But you know what that came down to. The people that turned against him is because you said we not going there, but you already know he was the first black president. Right. That's part of why they turned against him. Wait, he got all his power. He's got too much say so. We not gonna just hand him whatever he want because he's black.
They wanted to control, and he didn't. Right. He went his own way. He did his thing, and what happened was, because of that, for whatever reason, the Democrats didn't vote with him on all of his initiatives that he was trying for during his first term. So, as we know, 2 years later, there was a regime change. That's when the Tea Party came in. People were, angry regards to, what, a racist thing. Have you?
Yep.
That's what went wrong for Barack on his first term. His second half of his term, not the first portion, but the second half, and then it led into more dissension because now the Senate flipped, and now that's when he had all the problems, and that's where he had to do his executive orders and things of that nature. But that's a history lesson for Barack Obama. But he tried to do what he was doing, and the fact that he came in on this first term, changing things, he was trying to make things happen, and he did for the first 2 years. Then after that, he lost his own party. Then after he lost his party, then the Republicans came in, and that's when everything became more difficult for Barack to change the things that he wanted to change. So that's that piece. Now,
why do you think he lost his party?
Well, I don't know if he lost his party. I think it's more shrewd on the Republicans because they started the Tea Party because he spent a lot of capital doing the Affordable Care Act, and then they started the death panels and all that stuff. And Sarah Palin was like, "Oh, they're gonna say your mama gonna die today." So they used it. I mean, they went back to the old tactic of fear, and that's what actually flipped the House and the Senate. It was more about the fear campaign they used, like, "Oh, see this black man trying to kill your mama and your granddaddy."
Right.
And that's
what his own party slowed him up in the beginning, and then when the regime changed, and when I say regime change, everything went back to Republican, and then it wasn't even Republican; it was the Tea Party. But another issue for another day. But the bottom line was, he was trying stuff that was new. It was outside the box, and he got some things done. And affordable health care, however you want to term it, what have you, it went through. Regardless of what Republicans say, not all Republicans, but the majority of Republicans out there, they would say, hey, you know what? They only want to get rid of this because of the fact that it was Obama. And some of the things many of the things that Trump wanted to reverse during his first year in office was to flip anything that was Barack Obama, and for a couple of reasons. One, people say it was racist. That it's only because he was a black man that he wanted to flip all these laws that Barack put into place. He wanted to erase Barack Obama from history. That's never going to happen. You know what I mean?
But I do think that part of him getting into office, in order for him to. The reason why I believe he started wanting to flip and undo all of that is because politicians, people in the House and in the Senate that were against Barack's plans, they were like, look, we're going to vote for you, but this is what you have to do. We already know that's that exchange of politics. They're like, look, if we get you in, you got to stand behind this cause. You have to undo what we didn't really want, that we didn't have the votes to do in the past.
Well,
so
I don't even know if it was that. I don't know if it was that though, because Trump was the outsider anyway. Like people were like all the establishment. He wasn't. They just happened to rally around him after the fact that he won. Right. But I think I subscribe more to the Michael Rappaport theory, and not his theory in terms of Barack Obama and Trump. But I think it was more about Michael Rappaport don't like LeBron because he didn't want to sign an autograph. So I think somewhere down the line somewhere, Obama said, "Nah, I'm good, Trump." I don't think, you know what I mean? He slighted him, and I think he took that personally. I think that's right. What happened somewhere down the road that he said, "You know what? This because before all this stuff, Trump was a Democrat. He gave money to Hillary, Biden. He gave
all of them,
everybody in New York." So it's like,
so what's your theory that made him? You think made him flip, Steve? Republican money. Yeah, so they wanted to back his corporations. What do you think?
Well, it's not necessarily backing corporations. Look, all these politicians. I learned something the other day where I was looking at the situation where, they want to see Trump's tax returns, And you go, okay, fine. You go see his tax returns. You know, then they're gonna say, yeah, but you know, Barack Obama didn't produce a birth certificate. Quite frankly, who cares? If you're getting the job, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Who cares where you're from and how much money you have? But the fact of the matter was, you know, they look at the financials and they go, hey, why didn't Trump provide his financials again this year? And you know, they made a big deal about it. And then they showed Joe Biden's financials and they showed Kamala's financials. Did you guys get to see that by any chance?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Joe paid over $300,000 in taxes. Yes.
Right, almost $400,000 in taxes. And then Kamala, did you see hers?
I forget how much she paid. She paid quite a bit.
A little over $1 million. So you look at that and you go, okay, well, politicians, you know,
she's in California. He in Delaware.
No, he's talking about
I'm not disputing that.
I'm just saying, like, there are differences in taxes. She's in one cost of living bracket or in a different like region in terms of where she lives. He's in a different region. I don't know what businesses they have, but that could have in it. And her,
well,
she's an attorney. Her husband, attorney as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but in terms what's the economics? The point is, when you see these politicians, when they get out of office, you know, they come in. You're not supposed to be in this for money, and that's the bottom line. Right. So in terms of Trump, he's not in it for money because he already has his money. Regardless of how you feel about how he attained his wealth, that's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. What I'm saying is, when you're in politics, you're not supposed to be in it for the money. You're supposed to be in it to take care of the people, and that's the piece that I look at for Trump, saying he doesn't need to do all this. And some people go, yeah, but it's not about the money for him. It's about the power. Granted, everybody has a different way of being motivated themselves.
And you're actually, but I gotta dispute that a little bit. Hold on, Yoda. He's made millions and millions of dollars because he's the president, and the Trump name has made. No, I understand that, but I'm saying you're not supposed to do your personal businesses while you're in office, and he has been doing that the last 4 years, and he has been benefiting off the fact that he's the president and he can direct people and diplomats to the Trump towers and to different Trump businesses and make business deals because he's in rooms with politicians that he wants to be. It's a business deal. This presidency is a business deal for him. This presidency has made him money, where all other presidents that have come along in the past that have businesses have stopped working their businesses in order to take care of the country and to protect the country. I don't feel like the president has done that in these last 4 years. I feel like he's benefited financially from being the president. From what I hear, he has loans that are due, and the loans are exceeding hundreds of millions of dollars. And he's paying them off with the transactions that he's been doing in the last 47 months.
Right. Well,
so it doesn't matter how rich you are when you come in, he's still making money, and he's not supposed to. He's not supposed to be.
He divested himself from his interests. His children run the businesses now. He doesn't. He's divested.
And his children sit his children sit in Oval Office meetings.
But not all of them.
They got to make a choice. He can't do both.
Ivanka definitely does.
The point that I want to make is that, yes, he's the first politician since the second Bush when he came in, George W. when he came into office. He used to be a businessman at some point, and you know, even when he came on board, he had been in I don't know how many not divestitures, but how many bankrupt companies that he had been with before he became president, and that was an issue as well. The fact of the matter is that many of these people that become president do not have business dealing. These are people that started grassroots. Look, Barack Obama started as a lawyer, but again, grassroots. He started, you know, as a congressman or a councilman or what have you, and he moved through the ranks in that regard. And a lot of other individuals. Joe Biden has never held he's never been in business. His business is government, and he's been doing that for 40 plus years. And I'm not counting the Barack years. I'm just saying in general, these people have made tons of money being civil servants, and they should not be making that type of money.
I think we can agree on that. We definitely can agree on that. Lindsey Graham is a lifetime politician. Your boy Mitch McConnell's a lifetime politician. It should be term limits on political people. We definitely agree on that. But you can't just bring up Joe Biden and not talk about how Mitch McConnell's been there just as long as this dude.
Right.
Like it's the same. It's the same thing. Mitch McConnell just hasn't gotten. Nobody wants Mitch McConnell as the president.
Pelosi, nobody wants her as the president.
Right, all of them. You keep naming Democrats, but it's all of them. It's all of them that have been 2030. Like it's only a 3-year gig.
It
Like
definitely should be
it has to be a term limit. It should be a term limit. You're right.
Limit, and it shouldn't have been the Citizens United thing in terms of letting even more money. You should get less money in politics, but we actually with the Citizens United, you add more money to the politics. And I think that is money ruins democracies really because you corrupt folks because
it's influencers. It's influencers.
Yeah, it definitely is.
We definitely know all politicians that get in their 20s and stay until their 50s and 60s are much more wealthy than when they left and when they came in. We agree on that. But it's all of them. It ain't just Democrats. It's every politician that
they all get the bag. Nobody never broke politician that left office.
You've never seen it broke.
Right.
He got a house in DC and a house in his state.
Right. And then once they leave, they get to the those firms. They be like they get Goldman Sachs or they get some lobbyist firm and they
consultation fee. I come in one
deals.
So I got a question. Steve. It ties back to something you had mentioned earlier, which was, you rode the Barack train for the first 4 years, and then you jumped off that train and you did not vote for him the second time. Here we are. We're at the end of 45's first term, and the fact of the matter is, election is 1 month away. Are you riding the train or are you jumping off the train?
I'm going to continue riding the train, and I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. There's a couple. So
tell me why.
So here's the.
And I want to see how this stack up.
Right. So when we look at the presidential situation, we're looking at both domestic and foreign, and I look at foreign also. And Josh, I believe I served in the military. I was at the Air Force for active duty for 4 years, and I served another 12 years in the reserve. So for me, the military is a big thing, and I look at it. And during the end of the first Bush, and I'm going way back during the first Bush, George H. Bush, when I was in the military, I watched it get dismantled, and I understood why it was getting dismantled, and that's part of the reason why I got out of the military. So they were shutting down bases. They were deactivating quite a few installations overseas, and that's the reason why I came back to the United States. But the bottom line is that from the first Bush up until Barack's, I'm going to say first term, the military was a mess. And what I mean by a mess, there were really good people getting kicked out, or they just weren't being taken care of. And I'm talking about people on active duty. And then we were also talking about people with the Veterans Affairs, where it was a total mess. I have family members that relied on it, and unfortunately, they didn't get the care that they needed or that they were afforded, and it was a mess. And that fell under Barack Obama's towards the end of his second term, and it was unfortunate. So that's the first piece. The other piece of it also.
So that was the game changer for you, right? You're saying that was the change. Got it.
That was part one for the military. The second part of it was also the affairs dealing with Israel. Now, a lot of people, when we look at Israel, Israel is our ally. And when we look at Israel, Israel is very important to the United States, much like Hawaii is, because Hawaii, for us in the United States, that takes care of our whole Western Hemisphere. We can protect the United States from Hawaii. And that also keeps us in check with everybody hanging out in China or North Korea. There aren't too many other bad guys out there other than those two, and Russia, if you want it to include the Pacific. So long story short, he depleted all of our military options because he wanted to draw it down. Because again, the fever with the United States was, hey, look, we got to get out of these long wars. We got to get out of Afghanistan. We got to get out of Iraq and things of that nature. And he did. He tried many different ways. But again, when you're looking at protecting the United States, you have to make some sacrifices. And you got to walk around with a big stick and tell people, look, you mess around with us, we're going to drop some heavy on you. And what happened was Barack was scared to re-engage us in any type of war. Now, he did some ramp ups in Iraq and Afghanistan to try and, cut down on some of these skirmishes that we were having, but he didn't give the military the tools that they needed. And what happened was then he just started to draw down. And what he did was he also alienated Israel. He made a lot of bad comments about Israel. He didn't trust Benjamin Netanyahu, and there was a big conflict between the United States and Israel, which we never had prior to the second term of Barack Obama. Now, I'm not blaming him, but what I am blaming is his the people that he had working for him to help establish that that relationship with Israel. Now, they had a falling out, and then unfortunately, Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't know if you guys remember when he totally bypassed Barack. He went straight to the Congress to speak in front of Congress to ask for help. Would you guys remember that?
Yep.
And it was a huge snap from Barack Obama because now he had another state leader disrespect him, which was wrong, number one. But number two, he didn't protect Israel the way he should have or could have. So that's the piece that I'm looking at. So now we fast forward, I don't know how many years now, looking, I guess 4 years now, 5 years after the fact. And Donald Trump, within a couple of months or during his tenure as president, he fixed the relationship between us and Israel. Not only did he fix that relationship, but what he also did by opening up the embassy in Jerusalem, he also was able to broker these peace treaties with countries that hated Israel, Bahrain, the UAE. He's also getting a couple of. He might even get Saudi Arabia to open up their borders to Israel. This is unheard of in the Arab world. And what Donald Trump has been able to do with his people, and again, I don't think he has the wherewithal to know those relationships, but he's putting the right people in place to get those deals done, regardless of how you feel about it. The president in terms of how he's getting things done, he's also getting people to do their job, and doing their job means peace in the Middle East. Our oil prices are at historic lows, and I'm not going to sit here and tout all of his numbers, but they're pretty significant. During the Barack Obama years, our gas prices, and you can go check it on your own, and I don't have to tell you, they were about $3.50, $4 a gallon for various reasons. Now our gas prices, they float. If you go into South Jersey, it's about $1.95. If you're coming over to Delaware, you're looking at about $2.15 a gallon. I haven't seen that since before the war started and things of that nature. So again, what I'm looking at in terms of Trump's policies, his foreign policies actually have been pretty good in comparison to a lot of presidents. And I'm not even putting him up against Barack Obama. I'm saying many presidents. Getting peace in the Middle East. Pulling out of Afghanistan. We're almost out of there. Iraq. We only have about 2,000-3,000 troops in Iraq. So that type of stuff I'm looking at and saying, oh shoot, what is he doing? In a political realm, in terms of foreign policy. Look, he has all of Europe in check right now, where he said, hey, look, you don't pay your dues to NATO, don't expect us to be paying either. And what happens? The majority of the people that we're supposed to be paying in, now they're paying on a regular basis. There's still some countries like Germany, the United States, we're putting them in check. We protect them from everybody. You know what I mean? And for years, they've been disrespecting us. And now he has them in check. He says, okay, you don't want to pay? We're starting to leave. Every time we move a base or an installation out of Germany, that saves us billions, not millions of dollars, billions of dollars. And what it does is it hurts those economies in Germany, because these are cities that they're building around these military bases. And I don't want to get too much into the military stuff.
No, I like where you're going. It gives us
a different insight. Yeah, but on the other side, like all that foreign stuff is cool, but like I don't live over there, so
what can you do?
Somebody said we have peace here.
Right? Yeah, that's what my question is. What about here? What's going on over there? I don't live there.
Well, and then another, I mean, you brought up a couple of things, but then people would say, what about the Palestinians and the Kurds? I think they would disagree with your points, because he let the Kurds out. He left the Kurds out off by themselves, and some of that stuff. And the reason some of the gas prices is, one, COVID, and also was Russia was drilling more, and so Russia and the UAE was having a battle for gas prices. That's why gas is low. It's not something that he miraculously did.
Right. Yeah.
Right, Saudi and Russia, they had an issue, and what was happening was they were undercutting each other with the prices, which was fine for the United States. But the fact of the matter is, we don't need their oil anymore. We produce more oil than both of those countries combined at this point.
But that was already a fact on Obama. That was already a fact on Obama's.
Yeah, that wasn't just 3 years ago.
Right. I mean, he took a lot of credit for a lot of stuff. Like he talked about the economy. The economy was they've actually did a survey and looked at the numbers. The last few months, this hasn't been the greatest economy. It was actually even stronger under Barack Obama. It's actually stayed strong under except until the COVID. But it hasn't been. It's not the way he says it's been the greatest economy ever. Right. That's actually a falsehood or a lie. Let me just say it was a lie.
Just say it's a lie, because it is.
if you know anything about business, you will always talk about what you do. You don't talk about other people do. And that's just the way it is. And again, you got to hype it up because you got to get people to believe in you as well. Now, regardless if it's right or wrong, I'm just saying this is the way it works in business, no matter where you go. If you have a team and you're a supervisor, you're coming on board as a new supervisor, you're not going to talk about the accolades of the last person. You're going to talk about your accolades and talk about what you do well and what you're going to do to get you to the next.
So speaking of, I'm about to say, because I'm a leader. I'm a leader in my organizations I work for, and I do definitely from a succession planning, and from talking about my predecessor. I'm not going to just dismantle anything that my predecessor put in place that works. And one, I'm not going to get any buy-in from any of my other executive team if I come in and I'm not watching and observing what they like and what they don't like. I need to play the field correctly. I can't just do that.
But you got to try. You got.
But you like
pump yourself up so that way other people can see they follow your leadership, regardless. And again, you don't take away what other people have done, and that's the big mistake that Trump has done.
Pumping yourself up and show. You got to show and prove. It ain't really no pumping yourself up. Like show and prove.
That's hiding. Like that's hiding behind you pumping your ego. Like what?
Right.
But like just to the point, like you're really big on foreign policy, and it seems like that's why you voted for him. But what, like Declife Brulai brought up, what about the domestic policy and how that's failing? That's absolutely failing here, and it's not getting any better.
Right, because people would say that they said it was divisive under President Obama, mainly because he was a black man in office. But it seems like it's gotten worse under Trump, and he actually has put gas on the fuel on the fire. He hasn't tried to make us come together.
Here's the biggest comparison that I can put in terms of both Barack Obama and with Trump, and this is and I can't see and I've seen quite a few presidents in my lifetime, but the biggest thing that I could say in terms of comparison between something that's similar between the two of them is they want to get things done. Regardless of what your political affiliation, they want to get things done. And we look at it from different perspectives and say, hey, look, you know what? Barack Obama had a lot of people against him, and he did. It's not so much on his first term, but his second term, man, it was tough. I mean, they did everything to stop him from doing anything. He couldn't eat the right food. You know what I mean? They picked him apart. More so from one political, I don't want to say political affiliation, but let's say Fox News as an example. They destroyed anything that Barack Obama said. If he said the sky was blue, they were going to say it's gray.
Sort of like the America we live in now, or did you with Trump supporters?
But the difference is that Barack Obama just did one of those.
Yeah.
Trump is going to fight back regardless. You say it's blue.
No, is he fighting back, or is he being a baby about it?
Lying.
Being a baby about it.
He's just lying about it.
Yeah,
absolutely. But
like,
you're not going to let you get
his fighting is like, oh, you're such a nasty this, or you're like, yeah, come on, like let's talk like you.
And like when you said Barack brushed it off his shoulders, he's like, I have the country to run. I can't let Fox News, this anchorman from Fox News, tell me that my suit ain't the right color. So I'm gonna go run the country, and I'm gonna try my best to run the country and get these policies through.
In this blue suit.
Your boy is like, oh, you know what? They ain't like my suit today. Let me tweet about how tomorrow I'm gonna rock my fresh suit. Like no one cares about that stuff. It became a reality TV show.
I agree with you. The flip side to that also is that everybody has a different perspective in terms of how to get things done, and it doesn't matter what scale you're at. So the thing for Trump is that everyone, I don't want to say everyone because not everyone sees the negative pieces of it, but the fact that he has, Barack Obama had one news station that was against him 100%. In Trump's defense, he has 6 news stations against him, and they're all saying the same thing.
That's because he says falsehoods all the time.
He's careless,
and people are trying to report the news. People are trying to report the news, and he's not telling the truth. But you still didn't answer the question about peace in America and how he's false. Right now, you keep talking about Barack.
Right. So
Barack's not the president anymore.
No, absolutely not, or absolutely correct. He's not the president at this point. His legacy is what Trump is up against, and right or wrong, that's just the way it's going to be. They're going to compare the two presidencies. They did the same thing with George Bush when he left office, and they did a lot of comparisons between he and Barack Obama, right or wrong. That's just the way that it is. It's always going to be a comparison. The fact of the matter is, how do you handle that situation? Does Trump handle it the way that you should, in a dignified manner? No, but that's not who he is. And I wouldn't expect him to be anybody other than who he is. Now, when people say that he's racist and things of that nature, now I'm going to say a couple things and you're going to say, yes, but I've yet to hear it one time, other than the debate where they asked him to denounce racism. He already addressed that issue 6 or 7 different times, where he's already denounced racist, KKK, white supremacists, and things of that nature. You don't hear those sound clips. So that's the first piece of it. The second piece of it also is the fact
why you don't hear them, because they don't exist.
Yeah, I'm about to say, Steve, where do you hear them?
That's why you don't hear them.
If you hear them, send me the clip.
You're not going to tell me you hear them. No way.
Well, even if he does, even if you say that, but if you have a opportunity to address it again, it's not that hard to say, I denounce white supremacy.
The first time is always a mistake.
That was my point. That he had and blew it. He blew it when he made the comment where he was like, "Who do you want me to say? How do you want me to say? Just say it and be done with it."
I mean, back in Charlottesville was 3 years ago. There was good people on both sides, but the bad people hit motherfuckers with cars.
Right.
A lot of times,
a
lot of times it's him being his self-inflicted injuries that he does himself. He could have easily said, I don't rock with white supremacy, and wouldn't have been an issue. And he always tried to tell other things besides the thing. I mean, you could say like, okay, prison reform. All right, I can get behind what he trying to do with prison reform. There's something there's some things he positively can do, but he does so many things negative. It takes away from what he's
like
trying.
One good, and 5 negatives.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like other thing about race is it doesn't necessarily mean that he has to actually say something or denounce a racist group or whatever, but he's made racist comments. So when he's blaming
but what are the racist comments?
we can start with calling this China flu. If that ain't some of those ain't racist comments, we can start right there, which is what's happening and all of us being locked in our house. If you can't tell me what he's saying that's not racist, then we can start right there.
This country has no national religion, and he made a Muslim ban. That seems pretty racist to me.
It doesn't have to him being saying like, because he used a racist term, like, using the word nigger or using the word cracker or something like that. It's not as simple as that to
shithole countries. African countries or shithole countries.
That is a racist comment.
Did you not hear these comments?
People going to just say he doesn't know how to articulate. He doesn't know what to say.
He knows exactly what he's saying.
He ignored Puerto Rico.
And
he ignored Puerto Rico.
People without water, electricity.
That was 2 years ago.
Right.
And Steve Puerto Rico.
Right.
That's one of the reasons I said it.
That time. No, but in all seriousness, what his issue is not to help the people. His position is the economic, or not even the economic situation.
His problem is let them all.
Hold on.
Yeah, let him finish his thought.
No. Here's the thing. The whole thing with Puerto Rico, and again, if you're familiar with Puerto Rico is not the easiest place politically to do anything, because it is corrupt. And part of it is the whole, my brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, they're all part of the political process. And what happens is the money doesn't go where it's supposed to go. The resources don't go to the places that they're supposed to go because of infrastructure. And it's terrible. And I'll be the first to tell you that it's not easy in Puerto Rico. The people that work there, they work hard and they don't make a lot of money, but they figure out how to make things work. Problem with the political system is that you had that mayor, and I can't remember her name, Carmen something, I can't remember her name, but she just made the situation worse. Instead of trying to build a relationship, she fractured the relationship. And not only did she fracture it, but there was a bunch of corruption on her side where things were sitting inside warehouses for days, weeks, months, and never got distributed. And you can't blame Trump for that. You can't blame the United States for that. You got to blame the people that are in charge of that process, and that's where the problems happen for the people in Puerto Rico, and it's still an issue. The infrastructure in Puerto Rico is terrible. I mean, you go there, and some spots they're incredible, and other spots you're almost in a third world country if you see the way some people live over there. But again, that's not under Trump's watch. That's under many presidents' watch because of the fact that they neglected Puerto Rico for so long. Just like the Jones Act. Why is it that we have to send things twice to Puerto Rico? So if you want to send something to Puerto Rico, I don't know if you know this or not, but you got to send everything to Jacksonville, Florida first before it can even go to Puerto Rico. And when it leaves Puerto Rico, it has to go back to Jacksonville, Florida to get unloaded and documented and taxed. So Puerto Rico gets taxed twice on everything. So
let me ask you this real quick, Steve. Do you how do you feel about Puerto Rico getting statehood? What do you feel about that? Because I think if they would get statehood, that would help out. That would help out a lot because they're no longer a commonwealth and they're part of the actual 50. It will be the greater 51 now.
The way he talking, I don't think that'll work though.
Maybe 51 too, because you got DC that's in there also. That they're looking at for statehood as well. That
should be a state.
It should. It could. I don't know how we do it. And again, when you add another state, it's not that easy. And what's going to happen if Puerto Rico becomes a state, it's going to be in worse shape than it is today. Logistically, it's difficult to get things to and from the island. They don't produce anything in the island except for pharmaceuticals and contact lens things for contact lenses.
But that's because if it's an actual state and it's part of the union, they get all the benefits of statehood that they would, which means they get federal help without having to deal with the corruption, because there's corrupt people in Pennsylvania. There's corrupt people in our state of Delaware, and our federal government gets them out once they find out. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's tough in Puerto Rico. We already get all the things that you get here in the States. I mean, we use the dollar here. They have a welfare system over there, and that's part of the problem.
But what you're saying is not. It's not though, because you just said they get taxed twice. If it was a state, they wouldn't. It would go from Delaware to Puerto Rico, and it wouldn't sit in Jacksonville and get taxed. Like that's something that wouldn't get.
That's a resolution,
right? The federal government can go in there and say, "Hey, we're going to shut down this corruption, and we're going to figure this. It may take decades, but it still will be on the path to greatness."
Right.
If we can do that,
and I think
you ever hear of Hawaii?
Yeah, Hawaii. Yeah.
Okay. So Hawaii became a state like about 50 years ago. So you look at Hawaii today, and they talk about paradise, and yes, the resort areas are beautiful and they're paradise.
It's hard to get stuff there too.
It's terrible what we did to them when they became a state. So becoming a state isn't the panacea to fix this. It's understanding what the people need before you make them a state. And there has to be, they voted in Puerto Rico. I can't tell you how many times. I think it's on a yearly ballot if the people from Puerto Rico want to become a state. And more times than not, they vote not to become a state. Right. And the reason why is because they look at Hawaii and they go, look, they destroyed their culture in Hawaii. They destroyed their
You know who did that?
Went away.
That was not the Hawaiians, though. The Hawaiians, just like the Puerto Ricans, did not want to be a state. It was the white man that came in here, and it was 50 white men that changed that shit over and got the vote and got them to vote the wrong way. The king of Hawaii and the queen of Hawaii never, ever wanted to be a state. It was white America that made that a state. And just like you said earlier, because they wanted a military base so they could watch Japan and so they could watch China. It has nothing with them wanting to be into the union. That was white folks.
Or give them what they want.
Yeah, it has nothing to be paradise. And
it was about what we wanted to take.
Right. That was America that did that. So Puerto Rico looking at Hawaii, when you say that, they're saying, hell
no, that's not going to happen to us.
And it has to be different. And it should have been different for Hawaiians.
And if it's not, and they just saying,
shouldn't be in the union. Yeah,
right. And they're going to take it or leave it. They're going to say leave it.
And then and America's already like, we got it. We got the paradise of Puerto Rico. We don't need to change it. We just did it the same, so they'll never.
Well, we know Trump ain't making no mistakes. So
Puerto Rico won't be blue.
Right. So I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with people not trusting government and government not executing always correctly. I mean, and that goes to Republican, Democrat. I mean, it's always and I think a lot of that has to do with the like you said. But I mean, because if you're talking about, it's funny you said Puerto Rico's government because it's mamas and daddies and sisters and uncles in the government, but that's Trump's government. It's like,
his whole family in the government.
Well, right.
They all got 47 months of experience.
Yeah, right. Well,
but in the grand scheme of things, to your point, even if you make Puerto Rico a state, that's not going to fix what's happening in Puerto Rico. That's number one. In DC, even if you make them a state, it's not going to fix what's going on in DC. DC has a lot of the same problems that we have, across the United States. It's socioeconomic, it's race. there's many factors involved with this that when we look at it, it's not always a black and white thing. It's a right and wrong thing. But your perception of right is going to be a little bit different than my perception of right. When we're looking at a position, we're not looking at in there's some things that are not black and white. Some things are yes and no and right and wrong, and that we can agree on. The fact of the matter, what Trump is doing domestically has not always been the best thing for the country. However, he also has people that are antagonizing the process, not him, the process. Because when you look at, what's been going on in the United States, all these protests that are going on and things of that nature, people are going, oh, Black Lives Matter, it's their fault, it's Antifa's fault, it's the right wing's fault. There's a lot of people blaming other people for it. But when at the end of the day, when you're looking at the situation, and again, you watch the news just like I watch the news. It's not like we're looking from different prisms. We're looking at from the same process. And when I look at the news, what I see is when they go, oh, these are race riots and things of that nature, I don't see too many people of color. And I'm saying color in general. But I do see a lot of white people, running in and out of the buildings, the ones starting the fires, the ones that are throwing bottles, the ones that, but who are they and why are they trying to represent me? The biggest thing that I have as Republican or as a person in general is you don't speak for me. I speak for myself. And that's the way it should be. I don't want anybody talking to me about being Puerto Rican other than a Puerto Rican. We can have conversations like we're having right now in terms of, hey, you give me your viewpoint, that's fine, that's fantastic. But I can never speak for a Puerto Rican that lives on the island of Puerto Rico. I could just share my experiences with you in terms of my family that lives there, my friends that live there, and when I have visited for extended periods of time, and I look at it and I go, okay, well, help me understand, because I want to gain different perspectives, just like we're doing right now. We're having a and Josh is the only guy that I know on this panel, and I'm cool with Josh. And I'm cool with you guys as far as I'm concerned, because, again, the dialogue that we're having is not adversarial. We're having a conversation. And that's the way it should be, a conversation without disrespecting somebody. I don't have to swear at you to get my point across, just as you don't have to swear at me and go, oh, you're Puerto Rican, so you don't understand the black man's plight. Or you're Puerto Rican, you can't understand the
I was
white
just about
man's
to
plight.
say that.
No. But again, that's usual dialogue, and that's what I think. Listen, he'll bring a group of black people into the White House and have these conversations, but he's not opening up the forum. These are people you could say cherry pick them, and that's fantastic. But nonetheless, I can't sit here and say all black people support Joe, or all black people support, or all white people support Donald Trump, because that's a fallacy. You can look on YouTube, and there's 100 black people online that are talking about all the great
only
things
100.
that Trump
it's only 100,
and
they all being paid.
That dude's Uncle Tom, he's a sellout, whatever. But
he is. I said it.
All black people. That's the point. You can't say all anything.
Right. Definitely. We're not. No group is monolithic. They all have different ideals.
So, Steve, quick question.
And what your experience brings to?
Right. Exactly. So, yeah. Exactly.
He's a little choppy. He might. Steve, before I ask the question, make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. So, yep. So here we are again. We 1 month away from election. I'm gonna refer to Trump's political party, his term of election, as the Titanic. It's sinking. Okay, it's just going down. Now, I'm gonna say you on that Titanic along with him. Not to say you're gonna perish or anything like that. Just I'm using it. What is the one thing you feel like that the campaign has going on right now that's going to come to be the savior that's going to change the way this election is going to go?
I don't think it's him being a savior. I think it's more him doing.
No, what is going to be the savior? No, what is not him be the savior? What is going to be the saving grace, or what is going to be the act
for you?
What is going to be what act of God is going to change the fact that that it's sinking, it's sunk, and you're gonna still hit that election button on third.
Luckily for me, I know how to swim, so that's number one.
Good answer.
I think the fact that I don't think Joe brings enough to the table to beat Trump in the national.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, your confidence, Devin. I don't have that confidence. I don't know. I don't think it's over, man. Like, I have a question for you. What do you think about him having COVID? Like, what do you think about COVID? And then your president not believing in COVID. How do you feel about the quarantine and all of this?
He said, "You're president."
So wait, we go back to Lou. Lou, I don't want you to brush past that because you said you don't have the confidence in Joe beating. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that piece.
I don't need
that. It's not a popular vote. It's not a popular vote. It's a like he's not coming. No one's coming to Delaware because we only have 3 electoral votes. They're going to California. They're going to Iowa.
Right.
They're going with double digits.
And all of those red states have already changed.
That's polls. That's polls when you take 100 people. You take 100 people and you survey them, and then you say, "Hey, this is representative of the country." No, it's not.
That's all. That's.
But
okay.
Let's be real.
Let's be real.
If it was Johnny Clinton instead of Hillary Clinton, he would not be president right now.
He lost the popular vote. He lost the popular vote and won one state that Hillary was supposed to win.
People always claim that they're ready for a female president.
Yeah,
they not.
But
they weren't.
It showed you not because 55% of women, or white women anyway, voted for Trump the first time when they went to the voting booth. So you can claim that you want to see. Right, so you want to say all that. So it really depends on if they have said that he has lost a lot of suburban white women vote in these last 4 years.
On November the 4th, let me know on November the 4th.
Right, but when they go and then the whole thing about the election and being how you gonna say that mail-in voting is a fraud? There's a lot of
Check this out. Don't he mail and vote? He mails in.
He mails and vote in Florida. Yes. So you can't say it's fraudulent.
And to do things and to do things like the governor.
That was funny. That was actually funny. I laughed at that.
Now, just like the governor, the governors of Texas, they're changing polls, taking away polls to where it's only like 1 per county. These are the kinds of things that they're trying to do that are suppressing votes because they know that Texas is the biggest state that's out there, and you're gonna put 1 box in each of these counties to where that's over 1 million people trying to get to these voter boxes.
They definitely afraid of.
They're afraid of what's gonna happen.
They're afraid of Texas turning blue because if Texas and Arizona turn blue,
it's a wrap.
It may never turn red again.
Again, the whole thing is people got to get out and vote. That's number one. I'm a
big they're coming.
But that's my concern is I don't know. I don't think that a lot of people are.
But they are.
Well, I agree with you.
I don't think they are.
Yeah.
But the actually, but that's what I think they know. That's what he's afraid of, that people don't have to go out and vote. And that's what he's afraid of because there's already so many people have already mailed in their ballots.
Ballots is in.
So he want to throw them out because he know.
Right.
More people.
Ballots is coming in. It's not about going out and actually going out and vote. It's that look, they made it as simple as COVID is going on. I didn't registered already. My vote is in. My vote is going in regardless.
Right, but I think you had another question about
with the voting. It's there are peaks and valleys when it comes to voting. When people are popular, people will come out and vote. The first term for Barack Obama, everybody came out and voted. Everyone voted during Barack Obama, and I'm not talking about the traditional people, the older people. When I'm talking about young people came out and voted for Barack Obama the first time. The second time they came out and vote for him, but he also had enough of his agenda was already building in terms of his voter base came out and voted, with the exception of the younger people. Then flip it 4 years later. Now people want to see another change, and that's why they came out and voted for Trump. This calendar or this cycle. It's super divisive, more so than when Barack Obama was in office, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, a lot of people, because Trump is so polarizing, a lot of people don't like him. Right or wrong, they don't like him. The piece that people are missing is that a lot of people won't say that they like Trump for various reasons, because of retaliation. People come and talk trash, and look, I'll be on here talking to you guys. I don't have any problems. I got thick skin. But the problem with other individuals is they're afraid to express their opinion because social media today is criminal, man. The things they do to I had a friend that posted something about Trump, and it was a Latina girl, and they called her job and tried to get her fired from her job just for saying one thing, and it wasn't even nasty. It was so innocuous.
Well,
that,
social media is now used in background checks to get hired for jobs. So I ain't saying that they were right.
And you could definitely it's your American right to follow and have who you want, like to be divisive, to say things divisive. I don't know what your friend said, and I don't think that she said anything that deserves to get her a job. You should never lose your job just because you support whoever you support. You know what I mean? Like that's trash. That's absolutely trash. We agree on that. But at the same time, a lot of what's happening is he is so divisive. And when you like, I'll admit, hearing you talk for an hour, I don't think you're racist. I think something's wrong. It's an issue going on. But that's my personal opinion, and it doesn't make me like you less or not. But I still don't understand. Like I wanted you to come on here for me to understand, and it makes you a person. You sound like a person. You sound intelligent. I just don't understand the divide that we have. I don't. But at the same time, I don't want you fired from your job because you want to vote for the guy that I don't want to vote. Yeah, you don't deserve that. Like that's our American right.
Right. And if one thing we learned today, Steve, is that you can swim, but you still did not tell me what you stand behind that he's going to provide for us, or that what is going to be his saving grace to win.
But if he can't answer that, if you don't think he ain't going to lose, if you already think he winning, I mean,
well, he got to tell me something that he really stand behind him. And he talked about military. If that's it, then say it's because he got the military in check, or to say
the foreign
policy, or it's going to. Right. Let's talk about like the true political, kind of staples in
why he's sticking with him.
Is why he's sticking with it. So if it's military, say it's military. If it's because he's going to do something and with healthcare, which he hasn't provided anybody with a true copy or plan of in 4 years, tell me what it is.
Right.
And healthcare is not an easy.
It's not an easy task.
It's bigger.
I think it is.
Bigger than
it's really easy.
It's too much money in it. That's why it's
but it's real easy. Devin just had a federal government
let
pay.
the man answer his question.
I know. Say questions and don't let him answer.
I'm gonna see if he answered because he kind of.
You gotta let him answer. You gotta let him answer. You gotta let him answer.
Let's talk healthcare. So healthcare. Yes, he's tried and he's failed miserably. And the reason why he's failed miserably is because he thought it was easy. Barack Obama had taken 8 years to put this plan together to at least craft something that would be affordable for everyone. And what Barack learned from his administration also is that shit wasn't easy. That's a difficult task because you can't fix it for everyone. There's too many different issues out there when it comes to what do they always complain about? Pre-existing conditions. Some people have asthma, some people have allergies and things of that nature. And, I think it's wrong that you don't get coverage because you have a pre-existing condition. If you have cancer, if you've had, some sort of AIDS or HIV or whatever, it's hard to cover all those things under one plan. And it's almost impossible. It'll have to be tiered, but who's going to pay for it? I don't know about you, but I don't want the government digging into my pockets more than it already is. Trump brought down the taxes, and a lot of people, they poo-pooed it and said, "Oh, he only gave it to his rich friends and things of that nature."
Correct.
Bullshit. We all got money from it, and I don't care who you are.
They're gonna make us pay that shit back.
That sounds good, but if he gives you $1, but he gives his boys $10, it's not. You're cool with that.
That's the classic.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but it comes. But you also have to look at it. You can't please everybody, and not everybody's fair. Doesn't mean equal, and I learned that in business, and I've learned that in my personal life. Fair does not mean equal. If you have 3 kids, you're not going to give them everything the same. You can't do that. It's impossible because one kid's needs are going to be more than another kid's needs, and that's the only analogy that I can do. I have 3 kids, so I know, and I have twins. Mm-hmm. So I'm telling you from my perspective, and I have a female.
We all parents.
Daughter,
and a boy.
You can't.
Different needs.
You can't.
Different needs.
And government, exactly. And you're hitting the nail on the head. That's the piece that I look at. And when we're looking at government can't please everyone. And somebody's always going to get the short end of the stick. Who that person is and who that group is you can't say. Today it's one group and tomorrow it's going to be another group. It's unfortunate, but that's the price of doing business in the United States. We can't please everybody.
I don't know if it's about pleasing. I think it's more about leveling and playing fields. Tax code too complicated. You can game the system. Make sure you give one flat rate. Bam, done.
Look at that.
Healthcare.
that was a platform that
right, exactly. Hey, my 15% in
Or-
taxes that I pay obviously is not going to be as much as what 15% out of a millionaire's pay is going to be, and he's going to get taxed way more than me, right? So to Rob's point, if it's flat, charge me 15% of what I'm making, charge him 15% of what he's making, not 1% of what he's making.
Right.
And if you charge everybody the same percentage, we can pay for you're not digging in more in your pockets. We pay for your health care, and you get your money. The health care don't come out of your paycheck, so you make that money back. That money comes back to you, and maybe you pay $1,500 a year for your health care through your job, and we're saying, pay $2,000, but now you can walk into any hospital you want anywhere in the country, and you get serviced. And you get your bandage, you get your band-aids, you get all your ointment that you need without having to worry about I gotta pay $1,000 for my prescription today, where I'm gonna get the money from, even though I done paid $1,500 a year for my insurance. Universal health care is a beautiful thing.
Well,
and it's easy to implement. It's easy.
It's not realistic.
Because here, actually, it is realistic.
It's very realistic.
I mean, I don't know. I've never been in that position to have to make that decision. So I don't know.
But here's the reality. We may not be heading towards Terminator, but we are heading toward automation at a level that we've never seen before. So eventually, you're not going to have enough jobs anyway to get everybody. So you're going to have to have a universal. This is where Yang was correct. You're going to have a universal income, because you won't have anything, because you're going to have automation in fast food. You have automation in financial industry. You already have automation in a job. So there's so much automation that eventually we're going to have to change the structure of what we are as a person anyway. So it's because people say we don't have enough money, but then we had COVID hit, and you found $2 trillion or $12 trillion. Oh, there you go.
Right.
You found
that
money when you want the money.
Print it up.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you can find it.
I mean, it's the same thing like how you pay bills that you want to pay. You got the money to bill, but you're going to pay the ones that you want to pay for.
And I'm not going to give you another point about universal health.
I was just going to say,
make one point.
Steve, go ahead and make your point about healthcare, but I'm going to state for the record, I let you talk. I let you say your speech, and you didn't answer the question. But you went off on your healthcare tangent and said that it's a challenge to port.
Just like Joe, really, just like Joe.
You did. You were good. And I was going to say to my boys is, you really might need to go into politics, because you definitely took that train and.
Universal healthcare. Let's just talk about that real quick. So we talk about it, and I've been to other countries, and I've been blessed that I've been able to travel abroad. And I can tell you that when they say universal healthcare, yes, they give you universal healthcare. If you go into a hospital, they'll take care of you. They'll do the same thing here in the United States. They're not going to kick you out on the street. But that's number one. Number two is that universal healthcare. You get what you pay for. You don't pay into it. Guess what? You don't get much out of it. And when you walk into a thing, they're going to give you exactly what Lou said. They're going to give you a Band-Aid and say, thank you. You take care of yourself. Go take some Tylenol and go see your regular doctor. Number three, you don't have a regular doctor under universal health care. That's number three. But you don't have it under an HMO either, because you're going to see whomever you get to see when you go into the office that particular day. There's no simple solution to any of the things that we're talking about today. But in terms of Trump, I'm always going to look at the opportunity for him to say, I want him to think big, and I want him to hopefully deliver whatever it is that he's saying. He's delivered on quite a few things over the past 4 years or last 3.5 years. Yep. You may not like the things that he's accomplished, but he has accomplished some things.
Let's talk about
what are those things.
We talking about. Hold on, wait. So Joe and Donald did debate this, and he said that by him taking away the Health Affordable Care Act, that Biden told him that was going to eliminate health care for 100 million Americans, and he won. He said that that's not true, which it is true, that if he does eliminate he's working. That was his whole.
He took the mandate away, but the mandate is how you paid for it. So it's like
he can't even get his own party to agree. What he wants, and I agree. Remember, we talked about it earlier on. He wants to dismantle anything that Barack Obama had put together, and you and I can agree upon that. But what I'm saying is, what he's trying to do to dismantle it, he can't. The courts will not agree with it. I don't care if you put or
why does he? I'm not asking you, because you're not sitting next to him, why he wants to do that. So I know you can't answer that for him, or why he wants to do that. But if that goes back again to more moral fiber. If you know that this is going to impact this amount of people, and even though that he can't get it done, what does that say about him as an individual? Because he's not worried about those people of those 100 million, because he's not in that bandwidth. He's not going to be impacted by it. What does that say about him morally as a person? And why would someone like a Trump supporter stand behind that and be like, oh, even though he wants to do that, oh, he can't do that. So let's let bygones be bygones and move on to the next talking point.
No, because it's bigger than that. It's not just one aspect of his political spectrum. That's just one piece of it. There's other pieces as well that I'm not saying that it's not. What I'm saying is that there are other huge pieces as well, making sure that the United States is protected against all enemies. Mm-hmm. And what we're having now is we're having domestic enemies. People talked about, the KKK, white supremacists, white nationalists, and they were our threat in the United States.
Worst. They've been the worst over the history of 400 years.
All right, but let me finish the thought, though. When's the last time you had a white supremacist in your neighborhood? When's the last time you had?
I live across the street from one.
Yesterday.
Josh lived across the street from one.
Yesterday.
I literally live across
the street from one right now.
The dude literally put a Trump flag on his truck. I said, hey, man, what's going on? No, hold on. I said, hey, man, what's going on? He said, my president ain't dying over this bullshit. Fuck you. That's exactly what he said to me yesterday.
This is America.
So I have a racist in my neighborhood yesterday.
Okay. So here's the thing. The point that I'm making is they're making it like they're the ones that are going out and protesting and rioting and things of that nature. And then now you flip the script, and the people that you're seeing that are very aggressive right now, it's not even BLM, because I'm putting BLM to one side because they're not part of this equation. This Antifa thing, or the leftists, or whomever they are, they're the ones that are creating all this division amongst all of us, because what they're doing is that they're speaking for BLM. They're speaking for people for Affordable Care Act and things of that nature. I don't want anybody speaking for me but myself. And the way that I use my voice is to go out and vote.
That would be the same as saying, look, at the end of the day, Joe Biden, he's the presidential candidate, just like Donald is, right? However, I'm because I support what that person is saying, just like you support what Donna's saying. I'm walking around. I'm more or less that person's spokesperson.
Right.
So what they say. So even though you're saying that, I don't want anybody speaking for me, in to that regard, you are speaking for Donald, because you're basically, you're supporting him.
Well, and you're telling us that we speak. Antifa speaks for us, and they don't.
And see, here's the thing, though. This is how it all goes back to Donald Trump, because in 2016, a young man took a knee, in protest, and Donald
you already know who that young man is.
That asshole.
Fire that asshole.
He told you what he was protesting, and you ignored him.
And they made it happen.
And so you allow opportunists to come in and burn shit down because you did not listen to him when he was protesting peacefully. You did not listen to that. So that's the problem, because Donald Trump could have said, I hear you, Colin. What can we do? He did not say that. He said, get that dumbass off the field. Fire that asshole.
And all of those
he really wanted to say fire that nigger, but he
called him everything but a child of God. And so if he would have took the time to listen to Colin when he was telling you what was going on peacefully, this would not be happening in 2020.
And now they're allowing it in the NFL and the NBA and everything else. And now you want to rally behind it because guess why? Their money is involved.
Right.
Their money is being impacted.
Money is always the root of all of anything.
All evil, all of it.
So I think they're sellouts, not Colin, because Colin did what he was supposed to do. And I don't want to say he was supposed to do what he did for him, where he thought was the right thing to do. And there's a bunch of people that have been sellouts. It's not just white people; it's black people too. They protested against Colin Wilson when he did his thing. But again, when it comes down to how do you hear that voice, I don't hear Joe. Joe doesn't resonate with me because I don't. Part of it's because I don't care for Joe, because of his politics and what I've known about the years. But that's just me. I'm going off of historical data. Now I'm looking at Trump for the last 3.5 years, and I'm saying, what has he done? The things that he's done that I like personally, things that are going to protect America and protect what we're doing domestically.
So, military is what you back him on.
Yeah, you don't care about.
That's what I hear. That's what I'm hearing. Military.
Hey,
Steve, you don't care about protecting black people.
Let Steve say the whole thing. Let's see his whole.
Yeah, when you look at the military
is very important.
What but what I'm saying is, in terms of the people that represent the military, it's not all white. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's like the military is probably 35% black.
Yeah,
20-something%.
And military for my family is three generations: my grandfather, my dad, and my oldest brother. So in terms of military, like I get it, and I feel like that, their leadership, and even how I believe that I carry myself, and how I move around, and kind of how even I treat people with respect, with dignity. All those things were things that were taught by them.
Right. It's with dignity and respect, and treat everybody, and that's the way it should be. Does Trump do it that
don't
way?
operate like that. He don't.
But
so you standing behind him on military, but
I know, because Trump don't even like you, Steve. I don't even understand what you doing here. He don't like you. Puerto Rican middle class
military guy. No, he's the draft dodger. He dodged the draft twice.
He do not like you, Steve.
Look,
right.
You out here promoting his name. You out here bumping his name.
In all hang on. In all seriousness, we had an opportunity, and when I say we, that's all of us as Americans. We had an opportunity. You cannot tell me, out of the 24 people that were out there running for president, okay, 24 people, the best that we could pick was Joe Biden. There's no way it's impossible.
We could say the same about y'all 4 years ago when y'all ended up with this guy.
Right.
Absolutely. And the reason.
So basically, are you? Is it safe to say you're literally picking the lesser of two evils in your opinion?
At this point, yes, absolutely. Because Joe's not a better choice. There were 6 other people that were on that platform. I mean, you could have picked the guy from Indiana.
Who would you have picked out of those 6? Who would be your choice out of those 6, including Donald? Yep.
Including the individuals that I saw. The only one that I aligned with was what's her name? Talisi, the senator
Gabby?
from Hawaii.
Gabby Tulsi. Tulsa.
Yeah, I can't remember her full name. But she's from Hawaii. I know she got.
So you would, if she had the Democratic nomination, you would be changing your vote this year, and you would be voting for her if she was a nominee,
right? Because she's doing the thing, or what she was proposing is what Trump is already working on doing, getting us out of the wars and protecting our people, making sure that everybody pays their fair share. Not here in the United States, because I don't know where her economic her philosophies are, but in terms of our foreign counterparts. But here's the point. I could have gotten behind what's his name? I can't think of it right now. Dude from Indiana, he was the mayor.
Buttigieg. Buttigieg.
Yeah, Pete Buttigieg.
He was another individual that had good creative ideas that I could have gotten behind. And again, he's pro-military as well. I believe he was in the military. But aside from having their military performance, what I'm saying is their thoughts and their ideas, they were original. Andrew Chang or Ang Chang, whatever his name was.
Yeah,
he's another guy.
Another millionaire. Yeah.
He was talking trash about
you attracted the money too, military and money. People who are successful.
That's okay, but
his handle is CEO, Dan.
CEO, man.
He is a CEO of something.
I know you haven't asked us this question, and I think we should do a little round table about this because I know we've been drilling Steve. So I wanted to turn it around.
I don't know if he finished his
reason why he don't care about that. I don't care about that. When has Devin cared about letting Steve finish?
You about to cut Devin mic off.
No, don't cut my mic off.
Because we're basically here to find out why he is voting for.
But I think
Trump voters.
That is correct. But I think people also want to hear, if we had to turn this around to our roundtable discussion, and we want to talk about what we are looking for in a politician or in a presidential elect, right?
They'll probably listen to the other 90 episodes.
Right.
Of Bruce.
Right. Yeah.
No. But I'm saying, Steve didn't listen to us. Steve hasn't heard those other 90 episodes. So right now, all we've been doing is telling him why we don't vote for Trump. And all I'm saying is, if I had to share with you, Steve, from my perspective of when I'm looking for a president-elect, or when I'm looking for a president, one, I want somebody that is that is as closely aligned to being as a human being as possible. One, that's where I'm gonna say first, as close to a human being. And so I'm not going to do the contrast of what we're dealing with. I'm just going to say that I want the person to be as closely aligned as a human being. Also, I want somebody that's personable enough that if I were to be sitting across from them, or if I was in their, I guess you would say, trajectory, that they would acknowledge me, or that it's somebody that I feel like that they're personal enough, like a Barack. If I feel like that if I were to meet Barack, I don't know if I'm already in that caliber, but he's personable enough where I could see myself sitting at his dinner table and breaking bread.
Maybe he's not there.
And look, I know I ain't made it there because I ain't in the politics world. But I'm saying like more of a, of aligning beliefs and, and traditions and things of that nature. So I think of those things. I think of in terms of I think of even things of family structure. In terms of being a man of being a man of your word. I look, I'm around these four men, and I'm just talking just from the within my circle. I think that we all have different views on things, but I think that our alignment in terms of how we are as family men, our values, and the things that we actually go out every day to actually work hard to protect our families, protect our livelihood, and all those things are important. We're looking at those things in the president to uphold and to actually make sure that those things are protected.
But you're saying that aligns with Joe. How does that align with Joe? And first of all, wait, I got to say, Josh doesn't work that hard, but that's another issue for another day.
We know, Steve. We know.
We know he's getting there. We know he's getting there.
He's a work in progress, Steve.
He's work in progress. We didn't want to go ahead and and
personal shots. Jeez,
talk about people's level in this game.
You need to have the mic off button, Yoda.
But I don't see Joe that way. I mean, he's a career politician, and I don't see how he aligns.
Okay, let me tell you
the way that he's spoken about the African.
See, I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to go there and turn it into a Joe bash. I'm talking just characteristics and what I look for, because you just turned it into the contrast. What I'm saying is the things that I'm looking for in a person that I want to pick as a president has to align with, me, some strong beliefs. And to the point you said, what has he done? So here's what I'm gonna first say about even to why I would support why I support Joe. Okay, so his personal story is pretty compelling. I don't know many, I know four fathers that are here, including you. I'll include you because you mentioned your children. If anything devastating, like if you were to lose your wife and you would pick up the reins and take charge of your household and make sure that your children are good and well kept, and they lost their mom and held their family together when this man lost his wife and had to keep pushing, and he didn't fall apart, he didn't lose his mind, he didn't fold. He did what he had to do, and he stuck it out. And his children have grown up to be, successful, and are living nice, prosperous lives. To me, that tells you a lot about the upbringing and the lineage of family and what that means to a person. So I think a personal story, that's compelling, and that's commendable. That's very commendable. So I would start by saying that. But I go ahead. I want you to jump in because I know you were going to say something.
He told to tell you cut it off about because he took all that money.
No, I was going to cut off. I was saying half his kids are good. And look, I've had interaction with not necessarily with Joe directly, but I've had interaction with Bo when he was alive. The other piece of it, and he was a great guy. He was super, super nice, and I respect him. Not because of his dad, but because of his work as a DA here in Delaware. But the other piece, I was also going to mention the fact also Barack Obama. I have a very dear friend of mine that was actual videographer of Barack Obama during his tenure. And this is a guy that I named my first son after because how much respect I have for him. And he's always on me about how can you how can you support, Trump and this and that. And, we understand that we're not always going to agree on each of the points. And again, what's important for you is not always important for me. One of the things that you mentioned is, the family dynamics. Absolutely. Is he to be commended for it? Sure, absolutely. But that's what you're supposed to do as a dad. That's what you're supposed to do as a family member. You take care of yours. And, and granted, that may fall in alignment with what I see in terms of my family values. But in terms of my political values, he doesn't align at all, not even a little bit with what I believe in or what I see. That's domestic. In terms of foreign policy, same thing. When we look at the Iran deal that they had put together, it was a detriment to the United States and Trump, for all his craziness and all the BS that was coming out of his mouth. The fact of the matter is that he righted that wrong, and that was a fail under the Barack
Then why
Obama.
doesn't he lead with those things? Why is it his supporters that are, when he gets in front of that podium and he's talking about it, he's not talking about how he's righting his wrongs. I hear your words. You're very articulate. You can tell. And this is a businessman. So this man, I want to say he's not dumb, but he is dumb. So, however, he's dumb. But, for you to be able to say he's righting his wrong, that's very plain, good old, just like you don't even have to be super high level to be able to just, be a man about it, like you said, and be like, look, I'm trying to right my wrong. And I don't need nobody to come up with 100 different apologies for every 1,000 things that they did. But you're speaking from him.
But see, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that, though, because when Trump was not the president, and when Barack Obama said you speak to your enemies as well as your allies as well as your enemies, he was like, "What? What the heck are you talking about?" So he always tried to contradict exactly what Obama was saying. Right. So it's like it's a foolish game because you pretty much try to take the book from Obama, but you know what but you were trying to criticize it on the outskirts. But once you got in the game, you were like, "Oh, and that's how this is actually how."
And that's what made Trump actually a millionaire, is because he's borrowing out everybody's books and trying to make it seem like that he actually created it. He's an imposter. He's a mocker.
Because he was big on that birtherism thing.
You can say the same thing about Joe. Joe is stolen, not figuratively, literally has stolen words from other people and tried to use it in his own. You know what I'm talking about, Rob?
Yeah, that's fact. He got plagiarism. Yeah, he got it on his resume.
Not one time,
a time or two on a paper. It's like no, it's like no, Joe.
That's the American way.
I think that's how it happens. That's how it happens.
I got 3 hours to hit this button. I got 3 hours.
But the fact of the matter, when you're doing a compare and contrast between both politicians, this is what I'm talking about when you pick the lesser of two evils. The first one is what you're getting with Trump. It's a known commodity. He has a big mouth.
What else? Give me the other characteristics.
Racism.
Racist.
You can say racist even though you don't have it documented, but that's another day.
What do you mean?
Stop that. It's definitely documented. It's definitely documented, Steve.
You know what, Steve?
We
start promote you to general manager, Boricua general manager. You
can't be CEO. You can't be CEO.
Because it is documented, because he did take a full page ad out on the Central Park 5.
Central Park 5, yeah.
No. He did that wrong.
That's a big
problem. That's racist.
That's because he's racist. What do you mean?
Racist.
He did a whole ad on these boys, and to come to find out all these years later that they didn't do it.
And then he doubled down and said he still did it.
Doubled down today.
And still said they did it.
I agree. It was.
I know. Don't say it was. Wait. Don't say it was wrong. Say it was racist. Say it was racist. Don't say it was wrong. Say it was racist.
That's moral fiber.
I want to hear you say it was racist.
You can say it was racist.
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean? I can say. I want you to say it was racist.
Come on.
He knows it's racist.
I want me to say it. No, I'm just kidding. So
how you? That's what they. That's what they say.
What is racism?
What do you want me to say? How you want me? What category do you want me to put them in?
It was racist, and again, when that happened, was that No, I wasn't in New York at that time. What was that? 86, 87? If I'm not mistaken.
It was 89. Yeah, around that.
It was Central Park, and everybody was wilding out in New York at that time, especially around Central Park. You never went around Central Park after dark. It
was bad.
That's a issue for another day. But those guys were innocent, and I agree. And he took out that ad again, just like he did before with Barack Obama asking for the birth certificate. He did it wrong. That's the bottom line.
He's racist.
You can say he's racist. I can say the same thing
he's racist.
And technically, I'm going to say this. I don't even know if he believes a lot. I mean, a lot of things he does because he knows his voters. If he's not racist, he knows his voters are racist, and he's not going to lose his race. Not saying that you're racist, Steve. But
how does that make you? How does that make you feel, Steve? That the majority of the people that you rocking with don't like you?
True.
That's okay. I don't have to have everybody. It doesn't bother me. Look, I don't have to get all my Puerto Rican people to like me. I don't have to get white people I got to be true to myself and be cool with me. That's first and foremost. I don't live by opinion. I live by living my life and doing the things I'm supposed to do. I do it the right way. I don't discriminate against people. The only people I discriminate against people are assholes. And if you're an asshole, whatever.
Oh, well, then that's all your party. That's your whole party.
That might be Trump.
He don't go to the. He's not going to the rallies.
Lou, can you imagine? Can you imagine Steve stumbling into that rally that your mom stumbled into yesterday and standing there and none of the people like him, and he like, yeah, pro Trump, and they be like,
you know what? But you know what? Nah, I'm gonna go ahead and say he put his Make America Great Again hat on and goes to that rally. He gonna be the main one they taking pictures with.
Yeah,
because they like, oh, we got one. We got a brown person that likes
turn one.
Yeah, we got like you a rock star in the party.
Hey,
right.
Steve.
How could you support somebody that
I don't, man. Like I told you, it's a lesser of two evils. I don't agree.
But
hold on,
Lou. I couldn't even hear him.
He asked me a question.
He said, "How can you support
that has incarcerated so many people of color?" And not only just to do it, but to brag about it and say, "Yeah, that was me. My name was all over this." Now,
right. And what was that?
So if you can look past that, that's cool. But for me, that doesn't work. How could you look past a person that cracks jokes? And again, you say a lot of things about Donald Trump, and he said things when he shouldn't be saying things. He said things that are disparaging to other people. And on the flip side, and this is where I'm saying about, you got to pick the lesser of two evils.
Lesser of two evils.
Joe's been out there saying the same shit, worse. Walking into a 7-Eleven and, you'd be lucky not to see. Well, I'm paraphrasing because he said it his way. But something to the effect that, you can't walk into a 7-Eleven without seeing an Indian person or somebody with an Indian descent. Don't you think that that's disparaging to? That's
racist too.
That's kind of
racist too.
It's true.
So it's racist. It's true, but it's racist. And I would call
it's both. It's both. But no African countries a shithole country because of the people that live there.
Right.
And Joe Biden was never the vice president or the president saying stupid shit. Your guy says stupid shit, all the
camera
all the time. Stand back and stand by is horrible.
It's coming.
Horrible.
Right.
And right now, the only time we ain't gonna hear it is while he in the hospital.
The same people that are loving that statement are people that are aligned with your vote.
Right. But here's the thing.
The guy who I'm voting for has said some racist shit. He's also apologized for the racist shit that he said and said, give me a chance to change. And I'm giving him a chance to change. He's also the lesser of two evils.
You don't vote for me.
If I have 6 parties to vote, we talked about this on the podcast plenty of times. Huh? It's not right. It's not right. But again, he ain't the president. He's not my president saying stupid shit. Your president is sworn in and is lying every day. Every fucking day. And you sitting here acting like he care about you. The president don't care nothing about you, bro. He don't care about nobody on this panel.
Did you hear what Steve said?
I did not.
Go ahead and say it again, Steve.
No, I did not.
Which one?
About black people.
Oh yeah, if you ain't black, then
if you're not black, you don't vote for me.
You don't vote for me.
Said the shit.
We know that.
What?
We know he said it.
But that comment right there was.
So what? I don't want to vote for neither one of them.
Right. It was out when he was with Charlemagne, right?
Yeah.
That was out of context.
Joe at the time thought
out of context. Yes, it was.
Is your boy gonna have a?
because he didn't have a script in front of him. Joe is notorious for reading from scripts. Not only reading from scripts, but stealing scripts from other people. Rob, can I get a co-sign on that?
I'm gonna say all of them, their scripts and all of their speeches is written by other people.
Right, because because it's the opposite. When Trump ain't on the script, he off the chain.
He can't. He'll tell you he gonna read it and then get there and be like, "Oh, this shit."
But you know what? I did have a question for Steve about now that you brought it up. I was gonna say, how did you feel like? Did you watch the debates first of all?
Yes.
Okay. How did you feel about Trump? How did you think he did in the debates?
He didn't do well
at all.
But then on the flip side, if I'm looking at Joe didn't do anything to persuade me to vote for him or even consider him.
He couldn't get a word in. Did you watch the Saturday night? Like he couldn't even get a word in. Your president was acting like a big ass baby.
Well, that's how y'all treating Steve on the show. Y'all acting like Trump.
That's right.
Y'all cutting him off every time he say something.
I agree, Leota. I agree.
It's so good. In all seriousness, the whole thing with the debate, it was Trump trying to rattle Joe, and Joe.
That's his tactic.
But to his credit, he stayed on script and he didn't debate. The flip side to that is that Joe was disrespectful also and called him stupid or
clown.
Right.
He should have had the whole suit on.
Agreed. But
Penny wise.
But again, for someone as dignified as Joe, again, Mr. If you don't vote,
not everybody takes the high road.
Agreed. But again, now I'll quote from Michelle Obama.
Take the high road. Guess why? You know why Michelle says that quote though? That applies to us blacks. That applies to black people because we have to always go up. Guess what? The whites can do. They can do. I ain't gonna say they can do whatever they want, but they can act the fool and it be washed under the rug. Let us be in a high power position like Barack and Michelle. They couldn't do 1 ounce of things wrong and it not be remembered.
But here's the thing also is that when you're in a position of power, you're in a leadership role for anyone. And we're talking presidency, what have you, Congress, what have you. There's a way that you act with decorum, and I agree with you. Does Trump do it all the time? No. And when I say all the time, and I'm giving him some credit to say, sometimes he can be dignified when he's having conversations with groups of people when he's on TV. Then there's times, to Josh's point, where he's just going to go right off the script and he's just going to start talking whatever he wants to say because he has an agenda, because he's feeling it, whatever that feeling is. Now when you're looking at Joe at this point, he's just. It's so complicated because, again, the things that I know of him from the past and the things that I know that he's done, it doesn't warrant my vote at this particular time. When we're talking about leadership and to your point, where we have to do things differently, and I'm lumping myself in with you because I am brown. I'm far from being white. And you can say what you want, and Josh has experienced this with me as well. Nobody knows who I am when I speak to them. People think I'm Italian. Some people think I'm white. I'm none of those. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm proud to be Puerto Rican, but I don't say anything to you until we have a conversation so you get to know me. And what happens is when I have conversations with people and the way that I speak, you're never going to know that I grew up in the projects. You're never going to know that I was a thug at one point and used to hang out on the corner. You're never going to know those things about me unless you have that conversation and we have that dialogue. I can speak from a position where I walk the walk, and I'm certainly talking the talk right now. And the way that I change people's opinions and the way that Joe and Trump should be is, hey, look, listen to people. You listen more than you speak, because what happens is when you're listening, you're learning. When you speak to understand, not just to just cast shit out there and just say, hey, you suck, you're this, you're that. I'm not going to cast judgment on anyone like that. If you're a Democrat, so be it. I have plenty. My mom's a Democrat. When I go to Florida and have conversations with her, forget about it. It's like a war in the house because I don't want to hear.
She need to whoop your behind one more good time. That's why she need to take that switch out and get that good leather strap and best that ass.
I try to understand, and it doesn't
curse while she doing it.
But again, it doesn't resonate with me. And again, my job is not to convince you. My job is to let you hear a different perspective and say, hey, look, you know what? And not all Trump people are racist people. So that's a fallacy that's thrown out the window. And that's what I was saying to you before. I could go on YouTube. I can go on, Instagram. I can find 100 different things where I can listen to people of color talk about all the great things that Trump has done for them personally, not for the group or the majority.
Fake news. That's fake news.
I mean, you might like people like some.
It's not fake. It's just not a lot of people. It's just not a lot of people. That's not fake.
Like,
it's totally true. It's just not a lot of it.
It's definitely a commercial that they run all the time where the young lady pardoned the lady out of prison.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Right.
That's that one lady. He's like,
Right.
got her.
Hey, Yoda. Can you please arrange a meetup at your house where Steve is there? We're gonna have a whole intervention. We're gonna circle him in your living room. For real. We're gonna circle him in your living room, and we gonna just stare at him. We're gonna do some shit to him.
One thing I can tell you all that Steve has said several times. He said that Biden hasn't switched him yet, hasn't said anything yet. So that doesn't mean that he's totally out of good point. Biden. He keeps saying yet.
You got 4 weeks.
But here's something that I mean, because I think Lou asked it earlier, but in terms of the way he handled COVID, and now you got COVID, so that was a lack of leadership on the COVID issue.
That's a big one.
So I mean, leadership is a big part of being a president. And if he would have came out in March and said, "We are in this together. This is our This is
right.
Instead of saying it was a Democratic house,
I still wouldn't have voted for him. I would have a lot more respect for him if he would have took this much more seriously than he has.
He didn't take it serious because he was like, "Oh, but it's killing all black people." Racist.
Right.
Well, it was killing a lot of black and brown folks, so it was killing a lot of black. Most of the people that died are black and brown. Yes, that's a fact.
Right.
That's why he played it down, because he was like, "Oh, shit! You mean I could just throw my hands back and like this and chill, and these black and brown people would die? I'm with it."
But again, when we look at that whole COVID thing, the whole thing was a mess. We'd never dealt with anything like this. And I'm not saying that Trump did it right. What I'm saying is a lot of people did it wrong. You can throw Trump in there with them. You know,
we're ranked one of the worst. We're ranked one of the worst.
Right.
Actually, you have to put Trump in there automatic, because after the Ebola, the Obama administration made a plan on how to not let this happen again.
Right.
And he threw
it out
as soon as he got
dismantled it.
So it was
he dismantled the whole group.
Right. So he didn't get to healthcare, Steve, but he did get to this, and look at where we are.
Right. So he dismantled. Now you go fast forward and you say, okay, well, what can we do? We had all these people out there saying that we can do this, we can do that. Even Fauci made mistakes, and you know, a lot of people from the Democratic side, and I'm saying Democratic side like Pelosi and Schumer, like, oh, you have to listen to what Fauci says. When Fauci says something that doesn't align with the president, they're super happy. When Fauci says something that aligns with the president, automatically the Democrats are like, oh no, you can't listen.
Right.
Again, but who? No one. Again,
this is the first time, to your point about Fauci and CDC, now that they're involved in this pandemic right now. This is the first time ever in history that Americans are and with them developing this vaccine and trying to actually find a cure for COVID, that Americans and us as a nation are leery about whether or not they're going to take it. Any other vaccinations or whatever, when it's been like for chickenpox, you know why? Because it is so influenced by all of this fake propaganda, and not just politics, partially from our president, or your president, saying things like, oh, well, can't we just throw some disinfectant, or making remarks that are not human, that are not human, because that's not a human comment, or saying things like, oh, we're working on it, or you could just take what was the one drug he said that you could take and that was working,
hydroxychloroquine or something,
bleach.
Right. And so now you have all these Americans that there's people that are working around the clock hard, like scientists, I think they said it's like 700 and some scientists around the globe or whatever, that's working and pivoting and working specifically on this. But now Americans are so afraid to actually go with the flow when there is a vaccine, because of so much of the miscommunication and the misdirection and the poor leadership.
He missed the opportunity in March. He has yet to have
he said, hold on a second.
Okay.
We need to take it.
But go ahead.
Oh, but he has yet to have a 9 p.m. address to the nation. He should have did this in March and said, Americans, patriots, we are in for a fight.
Yes.
And we have to come together and protect each other as a nation.
It would have changed the whole dynamic of the last 6 months. The whole 6-7 months would have been, even if he would have did it in July.
Right. Because if you knew in February that he knew in February was airborne.
Right.
So that means so that tells you he already knew how dangerous it was. And he cost a lot of people their lives who like there was people who were saying that they believed so much in his thing and his words that they didn't wear a mask and they ended up catching COVID and dying.
Right.
So it's crazy that we just
can't. Herman Cain is dead.
Yeah.
Herman Cain is dead right now because that dude recommended not wearing a mask.
Collateral damage.
That dude is gone.
Yeah, it just has to be.
Rest in peace, Herman Cain.
Yeah, it's tragic, and then he ends up getting it because I don't know who got it first. I don't know where he got it from.
And here's the thing: what's Trump like?
We just know that the lady got.
Trump is like what 70, 74?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
and him of all people. 74. Now they already said that the parameters of people who can catch it and actually die. He is in that bracket.
Right.
He's in that bracket of that age bracket, and he's not gonna wear the mask.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that.
What is it? Do as I say, not as I do.
Not smart. He's not smart. Right. He's not smart.
I'm not. And I agree.
But he never told us to wear the mask. He never said, "Do as I say." He said, "Don't wear it."
This was his 9/11, and he failed.
Do you believe in wearing a mask, Steven?
Absolutely. I agree. What's that?
Do you wear the mask? Do you believe in wearing a mask? Because your president said you don't have to.
Yeah, I was asking if you believe in COVID and wearing a mask.
No, I wear it when I'm in close proximity to other people. I wear it on planes and things of that nature. Absolutely. And look, I get it. And I don't touch my face with my hands. There's a lot of things that I don't do.
So it's real.
It is real for a lot of people. For me, I haven't contracted it. I have one family member that he had it and he gave it to his wife and his daughter, and they're all healed right now. Thankfully they were in good condition, and they didn't
have any other conditions that would kind of worsen.
And for me, I've traveled, since March. I've traveled to New York. I can't tell you how many times. I've probably been to New York 25, 30 times to New York since the start of this. I've traveled to Florida several times. I've traveled to Colorado. I'm getting ready to go to Arizona, and I'm not bragging about
No, just you're being careful.
Right,
you're moving carefully.
But no, it sounds like you're bragging about going different places. But it's fine.
You like these plane trips.
Catching flights.
It's
cheap. Where I'm going next? Let me just close my eyes and just boop on the map.
Hey, that's what I'm doing. I like $20 to go round trip, so it's all good.
Right.
$98 out of Philly, but that's another issue.
Yeah, that good Southwest take you anywhere for 98.
but in all seriousness, could he have handled it differently? Absolutely. And again,
could he? He absolutely should.
He didn't handle it the right way. And again, there are extenuating circumstances where he's not getting the support that he needs from specific, political affiliations. New York, everybody looks at New York and they go, oh my God, Trump should have done this, Trump should have done that. At the end of the day, the governor is responsible for each of those states, and they're the ones that prescribe policy.
What about him supporting those governors? Because he hasn't done that.
No, he has, and you've heard Cuomo from New York. There's plenty of documentation that he did what he was supposed to do for New York when it came to ventilators and things of that nature. Now we all know now that
he lied about that big old ship that was sitting out there ready to take people on. It was pulling into the port any minute.
But what happened? No, because what happened was with Cuomo in particular with the Mercy ship. He wound up not needing it, thankfully. But the bottom line is that he provided the resources that they need. Then what happened was all the things started coming out, all the PPE. Then he starts blaming Barack Obama that he left them, with empty cupboards and things of that nature. That was all BS. That's a distraction. We all know that, and that's what I said earlier. Anything Barack Obama did, he's going to talk about it in a negative manner, and that's just the way he is. And I've accepted it. It's just noise.
You've accepted it.
I want to see.
But you have not accepted the fact that Joe said stuff from 7 years ago.
There you go.
You have not accepted the fact that Joe is. You were still hanging on to something he said in 1984.
Right. He hasn't shown me anything different yet. That's what I'm saying.
Oh!
So my point being about Joe is that he has not shown me anything. Tell me one policy that you agree with.
I'll say one thing that he showed you different. When Barack was the president-elect, he could have asked any white person to be his running mate, and he asked that white man to be his running mate. Could that show you that maybe he is trying to change, and maybe he has made a difference change? Excuse me?
He called Barack Obama a clean, what did he say? Clean cut something. It was a derogatory.
I've been called clean cut.
Not like the way Joe says it.
It was in his tone, huh, Steve? It was in his tone.
It was in the word.
I'm gonna tell you something.
But like I said, there could be any white man as Obama's running mate, and he picked the quote unquote, in your opinion, the most racist white man in the last 47 years to be his running mate.
And
that says a lot. That says a lot about
I think
the first black president.
Well, I think he kind of Steve kind of hit it on the head. Like he said, there's something that Trump you hear that you just kind of tolerate, or you just like, oh, well, that's his Trump noise. Yeah. As black and brown folks,
right,
and white men of a certain age, you know, there's some racist men there.
It's noise all the time.
You know it is.
It's going to be something.
And guess what? You know when a lot of those racist men,
it's noise on every power.
Oh yeah, and a lot of them when they turn from being racist is when their grandchildren when their grandchildren walk in and they mix. That's when they like, you know what? We gotta accept it. That's when their heart melts. And them black and brown babies, they came out so pretty. Yeah. You know. And here's the other thing I can tell you about what. Here I can tell you, and I thought Rob was going to touch on it, but you said, what is Biden done that should change your vote? Guess what he did? He did something that not any other president-elect was ready to do. He selected a black woman, as his vice president. That right there is something to stand up for. They not ready for her as president, but I'm gonna pick her as my VP.
So you saying a black man picked the first black man picked the white man, and then the white man picked the first black woman.
Exactly. Okay. He said, "Look, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do because somebody black voted for me as me a VP. I'm gonna do it.
I'm good.
Right. Let me ask you this:
Work on him, Yoda. Work on him.
Do you think? So if you had your druthers between the two candidates, or not candidates, but between between Joe Biden and Kamala, you think that Joe Biden is better than Kamala?
No, I would pick Kamala.
I think Kamala is.
And guess what? She gonna tear Pence's ass up on Wednesday. She gonna tear that ass up.
But I think that has more to do with. That just has more to do with society in general. That's because you had the Democratic Party had the most diverse field ever, and you still end up with a old white man. So that's just America in general. We still haven't gotten
overcome
as we think we've gotten far. But then you look at the boardrooms, you look at the presidency, you look at Congress, and you still see a lack of diversity. So that just tells you we've still got a long way to go. So we just got to continually push it.
Rob, but I totally agree with you. So what you're saying is that out of that field of 24, the best you could come up with is Joe, and not only just Joe or Bernie, because I would have never voted for Bernie. But what I'm looking for is diversity, and to your point is if America's not ready for that, we've already voted for a black president. That's number one. Number two, when we're looking at the crowd that they had some talented individual, and that's my point. They had talented individuals, regardless of color. I'm just saying in general.
But they needed that for sure that was going to beat Donald. That's the thing you got to understand, Steve, is America was not so sure about any of those other people that did not have the longevity in there. So guess what? The Democrats said, we got to push and go behind a person that we know for sure it is going to get Donald out of there. He has to go. That's why.
I think the thing is Joe's a commodity that older black folks understand. No, they know what to get from Joe, and that's why he did so well, and that's why he only became the candidate of choice after South Carolina, because older black women, older black people know who Joe is, so they know that what they're gonna get from Joe. They don't know what Joe.
All these young, they looking at these other youngsters. They looking at them like, who the hell are they?
They look at Pete Buttigieg. You look at Pete Buttigieg. He had an issue in his as a mayor. He had issues.
He had issues with the police.
The police. He didn't handle that well. And then you have
he got some other factors in there too.
But then check this out, Steve. You keep on saying that we had the most diverse Democratic Party running. Like 4 years ago, it was not diverse for the Republicans guys running, and the work
Marco Rubio.
All of them were white men. They're all were white men. That's what I'm saying. They're all were white men. There was no.
They telling y'all. Yeah, they about to say Republicans ain't.
What I'm saying is
white men.
What the diversity that you guys went for was out of the box. This wild card, the reality TV star, and you keep saying it's working for you, but the only thing you've said is you love his foreign policy, and I'll say, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You breaking up? Hold on.
Yeah. That must mean it's time to wrap up.
Yeah,
it is breaking up bad.
I agree. I agree. I agree. It doesn't matter. I don't have nothing to say.
I respect what you say.
Let's go. Let's go home.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank Steve Bowick, CEO, for coming on and sharing his views about Trump. I mean,
it was a good discussion. It was a good exchange. I think we should. You have any other friends or family that are supporters like you? Because we want to have them on. We don't want you to feel gangbang. Maybe we want to have you.
Big time. I have one in Hawaii, but he has a big time difference, so I don't know if I can get him online.
Okay, we can figure that out. We do episodes at night too, 7-8 o'clock at night. We can arrange that.
No, we don't. But
we've had one.
That can work.
And so I guess the $1 million question is: you said you have one. You said did you say you're married and kids, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, your wife is a supporter too?
No, she's
she's a Democrat. I rest my case.
He's like
now there's a difference to be split on NFL teams and NBA teams in the household, but this I want to know how.
That's not true.
I'm joking, Rob. I'm joking.
The guy in New Orleans, him and his wife, they she was a Republican consultant.
I remember that. I think they had him on TV, didn't they?
Yeah,
the Clinton.
Yeah, I forget their name. Jim. Yeah, the Clinton during the Clinton time. I forget his name. But he got the real Cajun voice.
I know when you told her you was going on this show, she probably was like, they gonna tear that ass.
Nah, but I think
it's always good about that though.
Well, it wasn't about it was just,
I'm joking, y'all. Like, come on, be light.
No, I think you really feel like you tore him up, but you did.
I think the main point was just we wanted to know why to know why folks were voting for Trump, because I mean, I don't know too many Trump voters, and so I was. I mean, I know Trump voters, but they won't say why they
come on the platform, right?
And they won't. Sometimes they won't say, They'll say, I haven't made up my mind yet, but they know they were voting for Trump, and they'll go and press Trump, but they won't say that they were voting for Trump. So we wanted to get people on here to see why. And
can we have you back on after November 3rd?
Yeah, I'll be more than happy. Hey, I told you.
Let's do a follow-up.
You hear what he said?
I really do. I heard him. I want a follow-up.
But see, that's the thing, because he might, even if he loses, he might not leave. That's a different topic.
We'll see what happens.
I don't believe that for a second that he's not going to leave if he loses. And again, there's checks and balances with that. A lot of people are you're only going to hear that from the media. But again,
I know. I just be joking because once it's certified that he lost, he is not controlling no more. So hello, Secret Service. Physically.
He has no benefit being in there. But again, I agree with you guys. Look, I appreciate the opportunity for coming on and speaking with you guys. This has been dope, and I respect your opinions.
Welcome to the podcast.
And, it's a different perspective. That's all. And
Absolutely.
Not that one's better than the other. It's just it's good that we can have these conversations, and there's no bloodshed here. Everybody's having their
When I reached out to Steve, I told him we were one-sided, so that's why we needed his opinion. I'm like, we kind of one-sided.
I'll give you some credibility because you did vote for Barack one.
I'm not even know. I'm big on. I'm not big on parties anyway because I think a lot of times we miss good ideas on both sides because we are so stuck into our party. You'd be like, oh, that's a good idea, but he's a Democrat, or oh, that's a good idea, but he's a Republican, or she's a Republican. I can't rock with that. I think we need to. I think maybe we should get rid of parties and just think and vote on ideals and ideals. But
I agree.
Couldn't agree with you more. And look, I'm a Republican, but I don't lean so far right where I don't believe in anything, abortion.
That the left are saying.
Yeah, I just, I could get down with some of the things, but, for the most part, I try to be in the middle as much as possible because, again, I remember where I come from and, and I don't forget my people. But at the same time, I also have to take a look at it and say, hey, look, this is what I've done in my life to be successful. And look, I'm not a millionaire or anything like that. I'm a millionaire because I'm successful based on the ways that I've done the things that I need to do to be successful and without hurting my body or my skin color, because that means nothing to me. I just care about how you.
What you get telling Rob?
I get it. He trying to get in that tax bracket where he can get them loopholes. I get you. I feel you.
Hey, that middle,
like Charles Barkley. I should be a Republican. I am rich.
Right. But I heard him say something about being in the middle. That middle get you in trouble, boy. You better pick that lever that right, boy.
Middle's cool.
Sometimes. Get it right, sometimes I get it wrong, but you know what, I'm gonna ride with what's gotten me to where I'm at today, and I don't want more taxes. I don't feel like look, like I said, I don't make $1 million, so I'm not really impacted by those other tax brackets, but at the end of the day, I need to provide for my family, and the way that I provide for my family is by making sure that I have a job and and I'm not getting taxed like crazy. So look at it that way, And
if you hit that $1 million bracket, you're gonna be good because there ain't no taxes up in there. There ain't none.
All right. Well, like I said, I want to thank Steve, but we can see him for coming on. But before we wrap up, we always like to know how people can find you if you want them to find you on these social media. So. You don't want nobody to find you.
No, not after today.
I'm gonna post his his Facebook on.
Damn. Don't worry. You can find me when they need me.
There you go.
All right. Yo, where can they find you?
So good.
You can find me 302 Yoda on Instagram at 302 Yoda and on Instagram and Facebook at Delaware on Grind.
Awesome.
Bow.
You can find Devin Aaron on Instagram and under Devin Aaron _the_great.
And you can also find me without a friend named Steve.
Yeah, you need a friend named Tyrone.
I get a bunch of good.
Lou, where can they find you? Lou?
For all your beer needs, Lou Belgium. I'm on them Instagrams.
All right. And you can find Bruising Banter Podcast at Bruising Banter Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can even say, Alexa, play Bruising Banter Podcast because we are on Amazon Music.
Woo!
You can also find me, if you want to follow me, at Rob_G of BBP, like it says right there.
There it is. Don't you forget it.
Yeah. Until next time, this has been episode 91. See you next. Peace.
All right, guys.
Peace.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Yo, thanks, Steve, man. Thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it.
I'ma slide anytime you want. Put you in Chanel. I'ma teach you how to style.
Okay. Now let's start the podcast. That motherfucker was full of
shit. Turn your phone off. Take your clothes off. I'm a savage, but I fuck it to a slow sound. Turn the lights down. Play the pipe down. I ain't Mr. Right.
21. Yo, we're going to take the last 10 minutes and talk about him while he's not here.